King Robert Baratheon, Lord of the Seven Kingdoms, is dead. As the lands of Westeros descend into chaos, so begins the War of the Five Kings. Led by Robb Stark and Lord Greatjon Umber, the loyal Stark sworn swords will not break easily, bound together by their loyalty and courage. But their southward march means clashing with Sir Jaime Lannister and the Mountain himself. With their richly armed regulars at the ready, House Lannister prepares to bring the direwolf to heel. The amazing pre-assembled miniatures come ready to play and bring George R.R. Martin's characters and battles to life in vivid detail. Where do your loyalties lie? In the A Song of Ice and Fire tabletop miniatures game, you are the commander of one of the great families of Westeros. You control regiments of infantry and cavalry, strategically positioning your units across the battlefield to best coordinate your attacks and accomplish your objectives. Beware, Commander, for this is no ordinary war game. With these elegant and streamlined rules, you must balance your strategic skill across the arena of warfare, politics, and tactics. A Song of Ice and Fire tabletop miniatures game features 5 distinct game modes, each thematically unique and highly replayable. In a Game of Thrones, control political hotspots for unique abilities and victory points. In a Clash of Kings, one player declares siege against another. In a Storm of Swords, managing reinforcements and resources is key. In a Feast for Crows, the bones of the dead instill dread into the living. In the Winds of Winter, players go after secret objectives, engaging in subtle bluffing and deception on the field. However, the choices you make are key to your success. Will you march one of your units for maximum maneuverability? Or charge headlong and strike your opponent down where they stand, risking failure? Or will you instead use one of your non-combat characters to claim a critical behind-the-scenes political maneuver before your opponent can? Each area claimed on this tactics board gives you an immediate and powerful benefit, but also potentially unlock more powerful effects from your tactic cards. The rules of battles are simple and brutal. When attacking, gather dice equal to your unit's strength, and strike at your opponent with every die that rolls high enough. But your opponent will try to stave off your attack with their own strength of arms. For every hit that goes unblocked, a soldier falls. So steel yourself for the worst. As your casualties mount, your units weaken. With every rank lost, a unit's strength is reduced. However, it is not strength of arms alone that wins the day, for the morale of your soldiers must hold firm. If the course of battle breaks the resolve of a unit, soldiers may flee. And when steel is not enough to carry the day, you can rely on the political resources of your house. With 10 faction cards and more provided by your chosen commander, your tactics deck holds a number of options to rout your foe's forces. Battles across Westeros can range from small-scale conflicts between a few units to large-scale wars with hundreds of miniatures without ever complicating the rules. A Song of Ice and Fire tabletop miniatures game comes with 103 pre-assembled miniatures, 9 movement trays, cards, 1 tactics board, 10 dice, 2 measuring sticks, 48 tokens, 1 rulebook, 1 scenario book. Gather arms for your king and march forward to decide the fate of Westeros. Available now. King Robert Baratheon, Lord of the Seven Kingdoms, is dead. As the lands of Westeros descend into chaos, so begins the War of the Five Kings. Led by Robb Stark and Lord Greatjon Umber, the loyal Stark sworn swords will not break easily, bound together by their loyalty and courage. But their southward march means clashing with Sir Jaime Lannister and the Mountain himself. With their richly armed regulars at the ready, House Lannister prepares to bring the direwolf to heel. The amazing pre-assembled miniatures come ready to play and bring George R.R. Martin's characters and battles to life in vivid detail. Where do your loyalties lie? In the A Song of Ice and Fire tabletop miniatures game, you are the commander of one of the great families of Westeros. You control regiments of infantry and cavalry, strategically positioning your units across the battlefield to best coordinate your attacks and accomplish your objectives. Beware, Commander, for this is no ordinary war game. With these elegant and streamlined rules, you must balance your strategic skill across the arena of warfare, politics, and tactics. A Song of Ice and Fire tabletop miniatures game features 5 distinct game modes, each thematically unique and highly replayable. In a Game of Thrones, control political hotspots for unique abilities and victory points. In a Clash of Kings, one player declares siege against another. In a Storm of Swords, managing reinforcements and resources is key. In a Feast for Crows, the bones of the dead instill dread into the living. In the Winds of Winter, players go after secret objectives, engaging in subtle bluffing and deception on the field. However, the choices you make are key to your success. Will you march one of your units for maximum maneuverability? Or charge headlong and strike your opponent down where they stand, risking failure? Or will you instead use one of your non-combat characters to claim a critical behind-the-scenes political maneuver before your opponent can? Each area claimed on this tactics board gives you an immediate and powerful benefit, but also potentially unlock more powerful effects from your tactic cards. The rules of battles are simple and brutal. When attacking, gather dice equal to your unit's strength, and strike at your opponent with every die that rolls high enough. But your opponent will try to stave off your attack with their own strength of arms. For every hit that goes unblocked, a soldier falls. So steel yourself for the worst. As your casualties mount, your units weaken. With every rank lost, a unit's strength is reduced. However, it is not strength of arms alone that wins the day, for the morale of your soldiers must hold firm. If the course of battle breaks the resolve of a unit, soldiers may flee. And when steel is not enough to carry the day, you can rely on the political resources of your house. With 10 faction cards and more provided by your chosen commander, your tactics deck holds a number of options to rout your foe's forces. Battles across Westeros can range from small-scale conflicts between a few units to large-scale wars with hundreds of miniatures without ever complicating the rules. A Song of Ice and Fire tabletop miniatures game comes with 103 pre-assembled miniatures, 9 movement trays, cards, 1 tactics board, 10 dice, 2 measuring sticks, 48 tokens, 1 rulebook, 1 scenario book. Gather arms for your king and march forward to decide the fate of Westeros. Available now. King Robert Baratheon, Lord of the Seven Kingdoms, is dead. As the lands of Westeros descend into chaos, so begins the War of the Five Kings. Led by Robb Stark and Lord Greatjon Umber, the loyal Stark sworn swords will not break easily, bound together by their loyalty and courage. But their southward march means clashing with Sir Jaime Lannister and the Mountain himself. With their richly armed regulars at the ready, House Lannister prepares to bring the direwolf to heel. The amazing pre-assembled miniatures come ready to play and bring George R.R. Martin's characters and battles to life in vivid detail. Where do your loyalties lie? In the A Song of Ice and Fire tabletop miniatures game, you are the commander of one of the great families of Westeros. You control regiments of infantry and cavalry, strategically positioning your units across the battlefield to best coordinate your attacks and accomplish your objectives. Beware, Commander, for this is no ordinary war game. With these elegant and streamlined rules, you must balance your strategic skill across the arena of warfare, politics, and tactics. A Song of Ice and Fire tabletop miniatures game features 5 distinct game modes, each thematically unique and highly replayable. In a Game of Thrones, control political hotspots for unique abilities and victory points. In a Clash of Kings, one player declares siege against another. In a Storm of Swords, managing reinforcements and resources is key. In a Feast for Crows, the bones of the dead instill dread into the living. In the Winds of Winter, players go after secret objectives, engaging in subtle bluffing and deception on the field. However, the choices you make are key to your success. Will you march one of your units for maximum maneuverability? Or charge headlong and strike your opponent down where they stand, risking failure? Or will you instead use one of your non-combat characters to claim a critical behind-the-scenes political maneuver before your opponent can? Each area claimed on this tactics board gives you an immediate and powerful benefit, but also potentially unlock more powerful effects from your tactic cards. The rules of battles are simple and brutal. When attacking, gather dice equal to your unit's strength, and strike at your opponent with every die that rolls high enough. But your opponent will try to stave off your attack with their own strength of arms. For every hit that goes unblocked, a soldier falls. So steel yourself for the worst. As your casualties mount, your units weaken. With every rank lost, a unit's strength is reduced. However, it is not strength of arms alone that wins the day, for the morale of your soldiers must hold firm. If the course of battle breaks the resolve of a unit, soldiers may flee. And when steel is not enough to carry the day, you can rely on the political resources of your house. With 10 faction cards and more provided by your chosen commander, your tactics deck holds a number of options to rout your foe's forces. Battles across Westeros can range from small-scale conflicts between a few units to large-scale wars with hundreds of miniatures without ever complicating the rules. A Song of Ice and Fire tabletop miniatures game comes with 103 pre-assembled miniatures, 9 movement trays, cards, 1 tactics board, 10 dice, 2 measuring sticks, 48 tokens, 1 rulebook, 1 scenario book. Gather arms for your king and march forward to decide the fate of Westeros. Available now.
Hey! Hi everybody! Welcome back to Full's Twitch channel. We have a very, very special live stream all day today. We're really excited. We're preempting our normal shows. We have Michael Chanel here from CMON. Say hi, Michael.
Hello.
And we got Adam, as always.
Hey, guys.
Harry, he is here. Larry Bella, of course. And as always, behind the camera, keeping everything running on time, Jen, who,
Happy
as you can
Wednesday.
tell, must be freezing.
Oh, shush.
Alrighty. So, this is Song and Ice and Fire Day. Michael has come down here from CMON. We are super excited about this game. This was one of the big, huge products that everyone was going gaga over at Gen Con. Kickstarter is...
Done.
It'll be done for quite a while.
Well on the way.
Yep.
Gone. Well, finished. Complete. There we go. And here it all is. All the miniatures. Full tabletop game, open movement, everything. Box set's going to come with.
Everything here.
Everything here. Tons of stuff.
And some more, actually.
We'll go over it. So we're going to be here all day talking about it. So let's get started.
All right.
Yeah.
Wait,
do we have the box top? Can we get the box top?
Yeah, it's real pretty.
Where's that?
Yep. Right over here.
I'll go
we'll
get
it.
that.
Yeah.
I'll go get that.
Sweet. So, yeah, thanks for coming by the studio here to hang out. There's the cool box. It's so cool looking.
It's so pretty.
First of all, you'll notice it's big.
Yeah.
Like really, really huge.
Yeah.
Look at that guy.
Pretty cool stuff.
Really.
And you have all of the stuff here that's going to be included in the
Real
box, and then some extra stuff that's not here with us, right?
Yes, in addition to this, there's a couple more, because you're getting a full complement of punchboard terrain here as well, and there's actually some more elements here that are not shown. Now, just to note as well, these are all these are not final production samples. A lot of these are prototypes. The miniatures here are painted resin. We actually put up production plastic samples in our Kickstarter update from Monday, so
Sweet.
you can actually check that out if you want to see the final product at the beginning of the box.
And they're pretty close, right? Like,
Oh, yes.
And one of the cool things about the minis is they're actually all pre-assembled, right?
Yes, and that's the difference. These are not one-piece sculpts. These are pre-assembled miniatures, so they're
Wow.
multi-part, and they're assembled at the factory. When you open a box of these guys, you're going to be able to take them out, immediately set them on a tray, and begin playing if you wanted.
Wow.
So you can be at your game store and literally buy a whole new army off the shelf and be playing with it as soon as it takes you to get them out of the box.
That's pretty sweet.
That is pretty cool.
Pretty cool
All right,
stuff.
I'm going to take this off, and I'm going to let you guys start to dive into it.
Here.
Right.
I want to leave this here
There you go.
because it's... Da-da-da! Right, open it back there.
Yeah.
Right there.
Super cool.
Yeah, so...
All right.
Yeah. We're going to do this?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm ready to do that. So, everyone who is watching us, if you're on Facebook Live, we're going to be here all day going into this game in detail. Please come on over. We're on twitch.tv/BellLostSouls. If you're watching on Bowls, go ahead and, because I know you are, go ahead and click that little Twitch button on the lower right. That will hop you right in here.
Into the chat?
Into the chat, and we will be taking questions. We want to get feedback and questions. You'll be able to talk to us. More importantly, to Michael, who's here from CMON. So, designer of the game.
Yeah.
So, this is your chance. If you
Yeah.
have questions, if you're interested, this is your chance to actually be able to talk directly to the designer.
Yeah.
So we will see you guys on the flip side. Come on over.
Cool. All right, so... Yeah, where do we want to start, man? There's a lot of stuff to go over. So we just start with the components and go from there?
I think we can just give a general rundown of the components here.
Okay?
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure we got a lot of people want to see miniatures and whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. We've already got chat begging for it.
All right.
Yeah, these are... We were messing with them earlier. They were really cool looking, so I'm excited.
So again, as noted, these are painted resins, just showcase off those, but people want to see the production plastics. Last week we were showcasing a lot of those off, and we're still continuing this week. So let's go through here and just start showing. We're going to start with the Lannisters because they are the closest ones to me. So I'm just showing here, I don't know where to place these. So these are Lannister halberdiers.
We'll let Jen... We'll
kinda-
get way in on these guys.
Yeah.
All right.
Top down.
Yep.
Yep.
So that's what they look like from the top, and then I'll kind of hand model them.
Oh yeah, that is some...
And again, these are they don't come painted; they come
Right.
pre-assembled. So
Now, well, something to note about our final production plastics as well. The bodies are PVC material, but we're specifically doing all of the weapons, and any bendy bits are going to be an ABS hard plastic, so you're never
Very
going to have
nice.
any bending or anything like that.
Oh, very cool.
Noting these are resins, so there is some bending that will happen to these.
and they've been
But
traveling a lot.
These have been traveling extensively to conventions and things like that.
Yeah.
But just so noting that, again, any type of little small bits like this, halberds that you see here, the banners, ABS hard plastic, so I mean, nice sturdy material there.
Very cool.
Beautiful.
Your studio painters did an excellent job of this, by the way.
Yes, and these are painted by Big Child Productions. They're the majority of the
Very cool.
sculpting and the painting for these.
Oh, wow.
Wow. So there's the Lannisters, and there's a couple of different poses, I take it? So we've
Yeah,
got...
so each of these units right here is going to have 3 poses plus their bannermen.
Okay.
Very cool. Here's a second pose for that.
So we have
Halberdier.
halberd facing forward, and then it looks like you have a halberd.
Slightly upturned, and then we have another halberd kind of in the middle there. And then the bannermen.
That is
And these are your
super
rank and
cool.
file troopers here, so that's the standard format for most of those units.
And I think it was... one of these guys back here. Yeah. Just kind of showing them off, so. Really cool looking sculpts. This is a lot harder than it looks, by the way. Trying to figure out what the camera is. Alright.
Alright, so we'll put that tray aside and let's take a look at someone else. Who's next, Michael?
Well, let's continue with the Lannisters here. We'll showcase the unit of Lannister Guards. These are basically their baseline trooper.
Okay.
These
So
are
we have the
standard-
halberdiers.
Standard infantry. The halberdiers are a little more specialized in what they do. These are your cheapest option in the army.
Okay. So we've got like three different poses.
3 different poses and a bannerman.
And a
Yes.
bannerman. Okay, sweet. So slide these over a little bit. There's the first pose here that we're going to go through. Great looking models.
Oh, yeah. Fantastic looking.
And one thing to note on this is that all the miniatures and all their artwork do is approved through George Martin in them.
Okay.
So this is specifically done to match their vision for what they saw in the book series and everything there.
Very
So you're never going to see anything here that's going to be super high fantasy or whatnot, because the series is grounded in a baseline level of reality. A couple of White Walkers, others, and dragons thrown in, but your standard guys in armor are they're meant to represent guys in armor.
Very cool.
That's not to say you can't get things that are ornate, but I mean,
Right.
it's just the nature of the setting. We want it to be true to, again, everything that we're, as I describe it, we're playing in someone else's playground, so
Sure.
we want to make sure we're doing them justice here. And everything is approved through George Martin and them, so all the characters, their representations are to match whatever vision that you
It was
have
from
for
the
how they
descriptions in the books and things like
look.
that.
Yes, and it's all approved through them.
Very sweet. This is fantastic looking minis.
I want to see that bannerman because
Yeah.
he's going to look really good.
I'm getting to it.
Yeah. Cool thing, by the way, as well, is that most every unit that can have a banner does. They don't have any in-game effect, but they're just really cool to have.
They look really great.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
Really pretty.
Yep.
Yeah. Again, those paint jobs are fantastic, and the sculpts on these are really cool too. There's actually a lot of little details. I don't know if everybody can make them out, but yeah, things like the plume and stuff on the hat.
Yeah, and the
On the
Lannisters specifically as a faction are going to have that kind of a higher looking aesthetic because they are the richest guys, so they need to represent that.
Yeah.
And just real quick too, we've got what are these like 28 mil bases?
The bases are 30 millimeter.
30
The
millimeter.
miniatures are standard. They're standard size, so the 32 millimeter.
Yeah. And
And
then these trays actually come in the box, right?
Yes, every single time you buy a unit box, you're going to get the full tray of it. That's not a separate purchase or anything. And of course, the starter box comes with trays for everything you're getting.
I mean, just looking at these, I don't know if I can tilt this up without them all spilling over, but
Just the base.
just looking at them on the tabletop as a big block like this is fantastic. So.
Something else I want to point out is that these are actually our initial plastic prototypes for the trays, but we've improved them since then.
Cool.
The bases themselves and the trays actually will have a textured finish on top as well.
Oh,
and you can
sweet.
actually see that in our last update we put up on Monday on the Kickstarter to show that textured top.
Yeah.
So if you're one of the persons that likes to paint or put flock or whatnot on the movement trays and the bases as a whole, we've made that a little bit easier for you as well.
And just since we're talking about the trays real quick, you can actually see, this will come up later, but you can see the arcs are actually on the trays, which is really cool. So you've got, this is the rear arc here, side arc, and the front arcs have that arrow to denote the direction, correct?
Yes. So we basically tried to make, it as easy as you can, because the arcs do matter. You're attacking someone from the sides or the flanks. In the rear, that is pertinent for gameplay, and we've gone ahead and already grooved those into the bases. As well as a little arrow here, that's actually relevant for some range attacks, but also just to remind you, hey, the unit's facing this way in case, for whatever reason, I turned all my guys to the side.
Yeah. Just wanted to point that out. What's the next unit we got?
So the last unit that we have here for the Lannisters, that is the starter box. Oh, and just noting, in your starter box,
Excuse me.
you're getting 1 unit of Halberdiers, 2 units of those Lannister Guards that we just showed,
Okay.
and then your final unit for the Lannisters is your Mountainsmen, and these have definitely a different visual appeal because they are followers of House Clegane, aka the Mountain and the Hound.
He's kind of a big deal, right?
Yeah, and these guys are a bit more, just kind of grizzled looking, and they definitely don't fit the standard Lannister aesthetic of this pristine, high class looking armor. Because these guys are a bunch of brigands and just, they're almost outlaws. They're knights in the sense that they're knights.
Yeah. More like hired mercs, but really
Yeah.
knights. Yeah. These are also really cool. These remind me kind of like an everyman knight, like not the polished armor of like Lancelot or anything, but just like the guys that actually were footmen. And,
Right. So in the setting you have hedge knights, which are your mercenary knights. those guys, definitely follow a similar aesthetic. But yeah, these guys are brigands. Hey, you don't have to look prim and proper. Just go out there and kill these guys. That's what we're paying you for.
They look fantastic too. I love the guys that don't have helmets. I know that's not the best combat. I would wear a helmet in combat. I'm just saying they look cool. Maybe they die first. I don't know.
Well, that's one of those things, especially when you get to the characters and whatnot. Yeah, it's smarter to wear a helmet, but it's cooler if you see Jaime Lannister's long flowing hair.
Yeah.
This is true.
It's intimidating. The intimidation factor. That's cool. I like the little.
I mean, I know I'm intimidated by good hair.
Right?
I'm like, oh damn, it's on point. Better not.
Yeah, you can actually see the chainmail in there too. That's really cool.
Yeah, the texturing on his armor on his back is really
for real. Like all the padding. That's
really well done.
Really cool. Trying to hold it there so the camera can focus, but these are fantastic. Yeah, and then of course the Bannerman. We got to show him off. This guy's cool.
Yeah, he's actually one of my favorites. Just the three dogs representing House Clegane, and then also the little metal fist on top of the banner.
Yeah, oh yeah, you can that right there. Very cool. Just cool sculpts all around. They did a killer job on these. I know I keep saying that, but it's true. Man, these are so cool.
Well, actually, before we move on to the units for the Starks, we can actually look at the individual characters.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
So we'll start with everyone's favorite, the Kingslayer himself of Jaime Lannister here, who's probably wearing some of the most ornate armor you'll see in the faction, but it's, again, following just his general trend.
There's the top down. Fancy. So I know you guys probably can't make that out very well, but there you go.
Wow.
Such a cool looking mini. And again, on the screen there, if you're watching on Twitch, on the screen there on your right, there's the actual sculpt, right, from
that is actually a 3D render of the sculpt.
3D render, yeah.
Yes. So that's the same thing you're seeing there.
Yeah. Came out fantastic.
We may actually be able to get a little bit closer on these individual characters.
Yeah, come in just a touch.
Just a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Let's take a look at Jaime. Wow.
That's it. That's all you get. No, literally, that's all you get.
It's as far as it's going to go. And just to note, timeline-wise, in where the game is setting, he does have his hands right.
So we have a strict starting point for the setting.
Okay.
And the setting of the game begins with the death of King Robert.
Okay.
Past that, the timetable is in flux there. You can, because, for example, the Kickstarter, one of the things we released was actually Jaime Lannister maimed captive, where you have a version of him that is his handless one, that has completely different gameplay, obviously, implications than this one.
That is so cool.
But does he have the same awesome hair? Because that is some fantastic
He actually
hair.
has way more grizzled hair because he's
been through the ringer.
He's been through the ringer.
All right, where's the next one you want to
And let's actually leave Jaime there for a second, because I think the most important thing to show is a size comparison between him and our next one of Gregor Clegane here at the mountain.
Boom, boom, boom. And I'm going to slide Jaime over and...
Just so you guys can see.
Just top down real quick. Oh yeah, he looks about the same. No. Let's turn him this way.
Oh, dang.
Wow.
So the mountain, all 8 feet of him as he appears in the books and everything, sitting there holding a two-handed sword in one hand.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to move Jaime off so you guys can see the mountain kind of in more detail here. He is huge. I love the shield on that too. He's got the three dogs, hounds. Very cool.
He's got the fist on his helmet.
Yeah, right up there.
Looking great.
Really cool looking.
He's one of my favorites. I'm just staggering over that 30mm base.
I love those pauldrons on him too. Oh, look at the armor down there too. Wow, fantastic model. Bom, bom, bom. Very cool. He's huge.
Actually, in a stark contrast here. So one of the things about the game is that we have our combat units, but obviously a big important part of the Song of Ice and Fire is the politics and the non-combat elements of the the series. So we do have an entire part of the game which is our tactics board, and it basically represents our political back-end stuff. So not only are you playing with the combat elements that are happening on the battlefield, but you have all these characters working off-scene and off-site who are just doing their political machinations or setting things up. And so you have guys like Tyrion Lannister here, which I would love to have a picture of him next to the mountain.
All right, there's the top down. Not a big deal, right? Uh-oh.
I see his goblet. I see his goblet of wine.
Yeah, I can't even fit
Mountain's shield might be bigger than his.
Yep.
I think if I put him next to it, it's pretty much.
Yep.
Wow. He is tiny. All right, let me move him to the side, and we can focus just on
There we go.
Tyrion here. Yep. Wow. He drinks. He knows things. Are his fingers crossed behind his back? Because, I mean, I'm not lying. Yeah. Very cool looking. And he's got quite the scowl on his face, too. I like that, the detail on the face. It's fantastic. And then to contrast that,
we have Cersei herself here.
yes.
Oh, she's so pretty.
There's just base to base, right? So you can see the height difference and everything like that. Very cool. And there's Cersei.
Hey, girl.
She got her hair did.
Oh, yeah.
I like the dress. The way you guys made it look flowing is really cool.
Oh, yeah, I can't give enough praise to our sculptors.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
cool
hair
job.
is really. I mean, all of these. I mean, it's always a combination of the sculpting and the painting, but really impressive work on the faces. You know, you actually get the some of the demeanors and the characters definitely are coming through.
Let's take a look. What else?
So the last component of the starter box that we have here. So we looked over the characters, our non-combat characters, but we also have our generic leaders for the faction, and these are unit attachments. Basically, like the other characters, these are the ones who, okay, they're not famous enough to have an individual name, but these are guys you can add to your units to give them extra abilities.
Okay.
And so the first one we have here is the Guard Captain.
Guard Captain.
And you have 2 of those you're getting in the box, and we'll get into more of these later as how they actually function, but you're getting 2 of these.
2 of these Guard Captains.
And I actually noticed our next little guy here had a little bit of a minor breakage, so that's unfortunate, but we'll still show him off.
Okay. They did travel, so
Yep.
they were in surprisingly good shape for the most part.
Yep.
Yeah. We did have some glue. We had a little bit of a hobby time before the show, so to do some repairs, but yeah, very cool.
And this
Icarilius, thanks for that follow. Welcome to the Belfry.
And this is our one that received a little bit of damage. It looks like his plume was broken off, so we'll get that fixed at some point.
Not his plume.
Not the plume.
But this is our assault veteran. She'll get one of him in the
Is he
starter as
a
well.
non-de plume?
Hey,
Yep, sans plume.
Okay, but he is supposed to have one.
Yes.
Okay.
yeah.
It's sitting over here, very sad. Broken off.
He is a peacock no more.
Looks great.
Oh,
I mean, the,
Look at that
fan-
cape.
the fancy plume is your sign of office, so that's very unfortunate.
Yeah, that cape is just
Yeah, the cape is
Awesome.
fantastic.
the whole thing.
Yeah, this is actually one of my favorite personal sculpts in here. I like him, the Mountain, and Jaime are some of my favorites.
Awesome looking model, man.
All right.
So is that it for the Lannisters?
That's it for the Lannisters in the starter box here.
Okay.
And so I guess we'll move on to the Starks, which
Stark
some people tend to like. I mean, I'm more of a Lannister fan myself, but you know, everyone has their preferences.
Fair enough.
So we will start here with the basic infantry for these Starks.
Okay.
The House Stark Sworn Swords.
Okay.
And you're getting 2 units of these in the starter
Jim,
box
can we
as well.
We zoom out a bit for
Yeah.
these.
Just a little. There we go.
There we go. So here's the full tray again.
Okay. And these are sworn swords.
Yes.
Okay.
Kind of see them stacked up.
They're the contrasting side to the Lannister Guards. These are your, I don't want to use the word generic, but are your baseline infantry for House Stark.
Yeah. Workhorse type guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rallying to the Northern cause.
Right.
And again, just like all the other infantry units, we have here 3 sculpts and a bannerman.
Yep. So there's the first one. Here's a second one. He's got his kind of sword upturned, kind of marching forward, ready to show him the business in there.
Yep. And I doubt we're gonna get like the individual facial detail, but that is another
Yeah, you can
separating factor.
You can see their faces. It is a stark contrast from the Lannisters, who are all wearing, helms covering their faces. You can actually make out these guys'
But even like
expressions.
the units of Lannisters, they do have slightly different helmets on those. So that is a different variance in the sculpts. I just don't think we're able to get really close enough to see those. But we did get some nice pictures of those in the production plastics. So
Cool.
I know I keep like jumping back to that, but we're just super excited about those images when
Yeah,
we posted
yeah.
them.
I mean, they look awesome, so I can see why you're excited about it. Yeah, there's the third
A
sculpt.
stark contrast.
Yes.
So bad.
I just want to foremention any puns I make are purely involuntary because puns to me are the lowest form of humor. Sorry.
Ooh!
Sorry. I'm
JR would fight you for that.
just gonna say that. But, so if I ever make any, it's accidental.
Right on. The banner on these is really cool, too. Obviously, it's got the wolf, the
Oh,
dire
yeah,
wolf.
that's pretty.
Yeah. Very cool, Bannerman. Da da da. So that was the base unit for the Starks.
Yep.
Okay.
And you get two of
You
those
get
or one of those?
2 of those in the starter box.
Okay.
Next one to show off would be the House Umber Berserkers.
I'm excited about these
A big
guys.
fan favorite because everyone seems to like rampaging murder machines.
Oh yeah.
Why would you do such a thing? Yeah, I love it. They have a really cool banner guy too. Well, I'm excited to show that guy. Very cool. And these are the Umber.
Yep, House
Yeah,
Umber
House
Berserkers.
Umber.
With their sigil on the banner of a giant breaking its chains.
It's pretty cool. He's good. He's good. He's plastic. He absorbed the hit. Made it safe.
Resin. These are resin samples.
Resin.
but that's
So
fine.
even better. Yeah. So these guys, dual wielding berserkers. Obviously 2 axes.
Yep, their whole thing is they're like a little cruise missile. You just point them at an enemy, and the enemy has to deal with them in some way.
Oh, same skill. Hang on.
Unlike most units, though, that get worse as they take damage, these guys here just get stronger.
Interesting. Because they're berserkers.
Because they're berserkers.
Nice. They got the hand axes. Coming at you.
And we saw a bunch of northern Viking-looking guys just frothing in the mouth, running at you with dual axes. That's
I
kind of
would.
a
I
scary
would walk
sight.
away. I would.
It's fine. I see that every day at Ren Fair.
Ren Fair.
Don't judge me.
I was kidding. It's a good time. You should go.
It's good that you guys have 365-day year Ren Fair here.
Da, da, da.
I don't want that in the Texas heat.
No.
One day's enough.
Like a weekend, you're good. So here's the banner. Again, he's got the giant. It's a giant on the banner breaking his chains, which is just super cool. Da, da, da. On both sides. And the banner, that's not freehand, right?
Oh yeah, and actually that's important to note. That is molded on. That is not freehand.
That is not freehand.
Yeah.
So
Great.
if you are intimidated by freehanded painting stuff, don't
Yeah.
worry. You got this covered.
And
so.
that is the case with all the banners we've shown so far. None of those are free-handed.
Yeah.
Those are all actually molded onto the banner.
Very cool. So that's the Umber Berserkers. Very cool.
Next
and then the next unit, right?
Yeah,
This
the
is
next unit we have is actually the Stark Outriders.
Yeah.
Ah, here we go. Our first unit of cavalry.
Yeah. And do the Lannisters have a cavalry option?
So in the Kickstarter, we unveiled the Knights of Casterly Rock, which are a heavily armored cavalry option.
Okay.
But in the starter box, the Starks have the Outriders.
Okay, cool.
Ponies.
And those will be available at some other date, maybe?
Yes. So our release table is you'll having the starter box coming out, and then each of the units you're seeing will be coming out fairly soon afterwards.
Okay.
We've talked over that on the Kickstarter before. You can
Yeah.
see it's a pretty aggressive timetable for his release. So, when this game comes out, we're launching super hard, super heavy. There, you're gonna have a bunch of cool stuff at launch and immediately proceeding after that.
Awesome.
And noting with the Outriders here and the Cavalry, there are 4 unique sculpts in those units.
Yep.
So we have
All 4 of
models.
them are different. Very cool. Da-da-da. Anything else you want to point out about the cavalry units? I mean, obviously 4 unique sculpts. You said they're lighter armored, right?
The Outriders here specifically are a light armored cavalry unit. They're basically meant to be a very quick hit and run unit, hit the flanks and everything.
Okay.
Versus a contrast to, and we don't have images of them unfortunately, the Knights of Casterly Rock for the Lannisters. They're very heavily armored. Their horses have barding. They
Okay.
just look like they can hold it off. And there's actually a 3rd cavalry unit we released in the Kickstarter, the Flademen for House Bolton, which is a mercenary unit, the most heavy armored cavalry unit in the game, and they are wearing like full spiked barding, have full
Wow.
spiked armor and everything. Super intimidating looking.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm assuming that that the lighter armor is going to come into play in the game, stuff like that. So, yeah, I love the sculpts, man. The scale of the horses, I think, came out really well. And here's the Bannerman. Again, that banner, that is not freehand. That is part of the banner. Super cool. Dun, dun, dun.
And actually, just to point out as well, in the Kickstarter, one of the last stretch goals we unlocked was the mountain that rides, which is the mounted version of the mountain. So you can imagine the Destroyer horse that he is on is massive.
That poor horse.
It's not getting paid because he's light.
Yep.
That's a very cool unit. So that's the Stark Outriders.
hmm So we actually have kind of in the middle between a unit and an individual character here.
Okay.
Let's go and show him because it shows off a different type of trait we have. We have Greywind
Oh.
here. He is on a solo tray, so sometimes you'll see that pop up.
Cool.
And those are guys who are by themselves, as the name would imply.
Right. Move this off to the side. And it's again, just a solo tray, so it's got the facings and everything.
Yep.
And very cool. It's a big dire wolf, obviously. This is John's, not John.
That is Robb's
Robb,
pet dire wolf. Yep.
Very cool.
And this represents him at the time where Robb had basically it's in the middle ground area, so he's not fully grown yet.
Mm-hmm.
Spoilers, unfortunately, Grey Wind does not ever reach full maturity.
Wait, what? Spoilers for like a 50-year-old book? No, I'm just kidding.
But yeah, so this is not as big as they can get, and it's described that direwolves can get as big as ponies.
Wow, yeah.
But still, it's a big wolf.
That is still a big wolf. Yeah, and the way the fur came out looks fantastic too. So.
Yeah, it's not something you want to see charging at you.
No.
He might be only able to take one guy at a time, but that guy's not going to have a day.
He's having a bad time. Very cool. And then you want to go over the characters that are going to come with it next?
Yep. So we'll go ahead and start with the young wolf himself.
Okay.
Robb Stark.
Yep. And so this is
we can do
to scale, yeah. So Robb and Grey Wind.
We can get a little bit closer on these.
Yep. You just zoom in real quick. Dun 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 dun. So Robb is an individual model. He doesn't come with a tray. How does he work? Does he just put him in a unit, or how does that all work?
So basically, we've got technically 4 different types of units in the game, but Robb is an attachment.
Okay.
And so any of your individual characters, they're going to go into a unit, usually, some exceptions, and they're going to empower that unit.
Okay.
So very seldomly are you ever going to have a character that you attach to a unit that's just going to raise its raw combat capabilities. Because Robb Stark, while he is a decent swordsman and everything, he's not going to go and kill 10 guys by himself. So you're never buying a attachment for their combat capabilities, with the exceptions of someone like the Mountain, who probably will go and kill 10 guys by himself.
Right.
Really, you're buying them for more of their command benefits. So they're going to give the units more tactical options and things like that. It's never just going to be a raw combat stat increase.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, because he would just... But game-wise, too, he just fits into a unit. So.
Yes. Gameplay-wise, we can actually take a
Yeah.
unit tray here. Say I have this unit of Sworn Swords, and I have purchased a Robb Stark for them. He's actually just going to replace one of the generic models in that unit.
Yes, and you just put him...
And he goes right there. Boom. Hey,
Boom.
He's with that unit now.
Yep.
Oh, very cool.
And this is now Robb's unit of Sworn Swords.
And he's attached to that unit, so there's no moving them around during gameplay or whatnot. He's in with them till the end.
Okay.
So
Good clarification. All right, let's check out...
Next one, we have Great John Umber, the leader of House Umber.
And he... Can we get the Mountain real quick?
Sure.
He's a big dude.
This is a pretty big guy, but he's not mountain big.
Yeah, so can we zoom out just a hair?
Mhm.
So here's Great John Umber. Big guy.
Yeah.
And again, next to the Mountain, he's not dwarfed by him as much, but he's definitely a good, head and shoulders taller than Big John Umber. And that's Great John. That's a big deal,
Yeah.
Size-wise. So again, this is the leader of House Umber. I love the armor plates too.
And we'll get more to this later as well, but each of the different characters we have here, Robb and Great John and whatnot, they can be taken as your army commander, which is going to actually change how your army functions and your playstyle and things like that. So
Okay.
we'll get more into that as we get into more of the tactical talk in the game.
Yeah. Very cool looking model.
Yeah, he's gorgeous. The shading on the armor is
Yeah.
fantastic.
The paint job does it justice for sure, but just the sculpt itself they knocked it out of the park. Very cool. And the facial expressions too,
Yeah.
he's got a bit of a scowl.
Really well.
Really done, yeah. Very cool. Alright. That's great, John.
So we can move on to the non-combat characters with House Stark, just keeping the same trend.
Yeah.
We'll start with the Lady of Winterfell herself, Caitlyn.
Here we go.
Gotta be real honest.
Oh, hey.
Not one of my favorite characters in the series. In this incarnation, because of, again, more spoilers, but in the book series, she does become quite badass when she becomes Lady Stoneheart.
It's
Yeah.
true. But
I
it's
think
still a
that she,
fantastic sculpt too.
Oh yeah, we're talking about the sculpt and
Yeah.
everything. I absolutely love it.
Yeah. Very cool model. Again, the way you guys captured the robes and the creases and the clothing, making it look just flowing and just fantastic looking.
And the other thing I'm very happy about is that we have our 2D artwork for all these, and it does match. They did try to sync up the sculpts.
Okay, so here's an example of the card real quick, so you can kind of see.
Oh yeah.
I think they nailed it. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll get back to the cards later, but just to show off, like, compared to the artwork to the model, very well done. Cool. And who's the other non-combat character for the Starks here that we have today?
So the other one we have here, and again, these are all in the starter box. We have Sansa. But something to note about this sculpt is it has a little bit of a history behind it. This is, again, one of our early resins of the sculpt, and it has Sansa with Lady, her direwolf here.
Yes.
Unfortunately, the model that people are receiving is Sans Lady. And the reason for that being is because we released this model here, and it was pointed out to us that by our timeline that we set, and we were very stringent about keeping to, the game takes place at the death of King Robert. Lady died just before that when Robert had initially gone to Winterfell to meet with Ned and all them. So as a result, Lady here cannot be alive in our game's timeline.
Aww.
So she got the, I guess, proverbial axe, and she was removed from the sculpt. And
sad.
That was done. So anyone who pointed that out on our Facebook and brought that to our attention, for better or for worse, you can take personal pride in you killed her.
You killed Lady. Way to go, Internet. You killed Lady.
You are why we can't have nice things.
Yep. You killed Lady. Wow.
But again, we're all about consistency here and wanting to make sure that things are kept consistent. So she had to go.
You gotta go. You're out, Lady.
Sorry.
But it's still a really cool sculpt, with or without Sans Lady. So very cool. I blame Arya. What? All right, cool.
And then last year, I suppose we will look at the, again, generic attachments for House Stark, which we have 2, again, in the box. So here we have the Sworn Sword Captains.
Yep. L Captains. And these are, again, unit attachments, generic-ish.
Yes. And they can go into any unit just because they're called Sworn Sword Captains. Does not necessarily mean they're, have to go into Sworn Swords. It does tell you a little bit about gameplay, though. They do synergize up very well with them, but they don't have to necessarily go there. The only restriction is that you can only have an infantry with an infantry, can't stick them in a cavalry.
Right, I was going to say, is like, he's not mounted, so I'm taking he can't fit on the cavalry.
Right.
Yeah.
This is actually one of my favorite Stark sculpts. Actually, the next one we're going to look at here might be my favorite in the line. Other than that, I like Caitlyn a lot. Just the stoicism of the pose. Stoicism? That's a word?
Sure. Yeah, it is. Absolutely.
Okay.
All right, so this is one of your favorite sculpts.
This one is the Umber Champion.
Ooh.
Okay, this is going to be good. I predict 2 weapons. 2 weapons.
It's really just the bear skin, like, I don't want to call it a cowl, but just the extra little bit on his head there. That really just brings them all to another level for me.
Wow. Again, paint job does it justice, but also the sculpt has just got a lot to work with for the painter, so just really cool looking model, man. I dig it. I dig that. Bear cow? I don't know. Whatever you want to call it. Yeah, on the head.
Oh, bear cow. Sorry.
Yeah.
I thought you were asking if we're going to have bear cavalry. It's like...
Bear calf. Not calf, the cow.
The cow. Bear cow.
Dragon calf, maybe, but bear calf, no.
We have no instances of anyone riding bears into combat in our setting.
That's true. Very cool models, man. Just fantastic stuff. Models aren't the only thing that comes in the box, right? There's a ton more components and things like that. Jen, can we go ahead and zoom out a touch there? Or back out, but let's go over some of the other components in the game.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff over here. What do we got to begin with?
So I guess one thing to go over here is
take them one at a time.
Some of the terrain that we're going to get in here as well.
Okay.
And again, these are prototype things, and this is actually not the final counts here. I've just got some things we have out here. But you're getting a series of punchboard terrain in here as well. In the Kickstarter, we offered some 3D elements that are available. But so for punchboard, we have some different elements like the weirwood tree.
Okay. Oh yeah. It's got a face. You can actually see that.
Yeah.
Are these front and back or just the?
These will be double-sided. In some cases, they're actually going to be different on each side.
Okay.
But again, these are just ones that we had to make for.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
Oh, so pretty.
Very cool.
And final sizes on things like this are subject to change. These are just ones we had to mock up for, conventions and things like that.
Yeah.
But you're gonna have.
That's why you're seeing a little bit of wear on these bad boys because they've been traveling quite a bit.
Right. And like for example, this one's blank on the back, but most of these are going to be double-sided with different features on each side.
Okay.
So that's just going to be your standard low wall right there.
Okay.
Your spike barricade.
Sure, and I take it these are going to have in-game effects that...
Yes, they each have their each individual in-game effects.
Yeah.
Via use of a keyword system that we made. So, it's basically it's a simplistic system. So when I'm choosing my terrain, it's going to be assigned some keywords, and that's the effects that it has for that game. So there's not going to be a lot of arguing over, hey, what does this thing do? Because before the game began, we assigned these things keywords, or with the default ones that appear. But for those modelers out there who want to make their own elaborate pieces and whatnot, then say you're going to make this, keep or haunted forest or something.
Sure.
The keyword system is you choose, okay, this thing's got the dangerous, hindering, and cover keywords. So this is, we know what it does throughout the game. It's a very simple system to do like that.
Yeah, that makes it easy for everybody. The keywords do an effect, and that's what these terrain pieces have. So
bogs to
very cool.
Hinder things as people are moving across the battlefield.
Very cool. Can you give us an example of that hindered effect? Like, what would that do to a unit?
So basically for this terrain piece right here, it's not going to block line of sight or anything because it's a flat piece. But if you charge through it, you're going to suffer penalties to your charge, and it might bog you down to where it actually makes it so your charge fails.
Okay. It just affects your movement.
Yeah.
Okay.
Versus like the Weirwood tree, which is actually inspiring, so units that are nearby are going to get a boost to their morale because it's a nice Weirwood tree. The spike barricade, you're going to suffer damage as you move over, but then it's actually destroyed.
Oh,
so there are elements
it's like
that
one
can
shot.
be,
Okay. Destructible terrain.
Yep.
Very cool.
Next one, we have one of my favorite pieces here, the corpse pile.
Ooh.
This is an anti-Weirwood tree. Being nearby is actually demoralizing to your troops.
And this is actually used in one of the scenarios, correct?
Yes, there's one scenario, Feast for Crows, that actually as units are destroyed, they'll start becoming corpse piles and just making the battlefield much more gross.
Very cool.
There are a couple of other elements that you're going to be getting into the starter box.
Is that a Jon Snow crawling? I'm just kidding. All right.
No, untasteful. The rest here are just repeats of what you have in there, but there's a couple more terrain pieces you will get in the box. We have a forest piece, which unfortunately I don't have, and actually you'll have castle wall segments as well, because one of the 5 game modes that we have is a siege scenario where one person is playing the attacker, one person is playing the defender, and so you need to defend your castle walls against the the oncoming attackers.
Okay, cool.
There's also palisades, giant spiked fences basically to block movement and things.
Sweet. All right, let's. There's a lot of cards that go over here. Do you want to go over the tactical?
I think we can start with a unit card.
Unit card first.
There.
Okay, sounds good. So, which unit card we want to show off first here?
Let's go ahead and just look at the Lannister Guards.
Okay, sure.
So, one of the important elements of this game that we wanted to stress is that everything you need to know how this unit functions is written on this card.
It's just on the card.
There's never any ancillary information I've got cross-referenced in another book or the rule book or something. Everything this unit does is written on this card. And so, these the unit cards are going to be standard tarot-sized cards.
Okay. So a little bit larger than a playing card.
Yeah. So these are the full-length ones right here.
Yep.
What you're going to have is everything that you need to play this unit. Its rules are on the front here. If you flip that over to the back, we'll start there. This is going to have anything that's going to be relevant for list creation, and then a small little just fluff narrative here. So you're going to see the Lannister Guards. It's going to tell you a little bit about them. That little bit right there is actually a mixture of gameplay tactics and their backstory. So we've woven that together. So the idea is that you can read that and get a general feel like, oh, this is what they do on the battlefield.
Right.
But also here's their backstory. You've got your point cost there, and then any other pertinent gameplay information.
The point cost would be that 5, right?
Yeah.
And then the unit type is this one?
Yes.
Okay.
Like, I'm just going to bring up Grey Wind here.
Sure.
Because he has a ancillary rule here that he can only be fielded if you're playing an army of Robb Stark. So that appears on this side of the card. Basically, anything that you need for list creation, army creation, all that, it's going to be on that side. But once the game begins, flip the card over, and every one of their rules is going to be listed right there. You're never going to have to reference anything else or even the back of that card.
Okay.
So let's actually bring back the Lannister Guards.
Yes, and we'll flip it over here. We'll go back over Grey Wind in a bit, but
yeah, we'll get to him. But so, yeah, again, everything this unit does is written right here. Never have to reference anything else, never anything like that. And here, just going over the different elements, I'll leave you to that. You're nicer looking hands on it.
You got that's obviously going to be the movement set, right?
Yes.
If you got a foot with a 4 by it. I'm guessing the 4 is the range it can move.
That's how hard they kick.
Yeah. Oh, sweet. That's their damage. No. Yeah, but that is movement, right?
That's their speed value. That is how far they move, and there's different couple ways they can move, but that's your baseline.
Okay.
Below that, you're going to have their attack profile, and that little the black box is going to... So, getting a little ahead of ourselves here. The game uses D6s.
Right.
Okay? Common die.
D6s.
When you attack, you're going to roll a number of dice. equal to actually the remaining ranks in the unit. So as you saw before here, I guess we'll just kind of reverse back up here a bit.
Yeah.
We have our Lannister Guard unit here.
All right. We may want to zoom out just a hair here so we can show off. So, Lannister Guard unit. We're going to do some quick unit rules, I guess.
Yeah, that's cool.
So, Lannister Guard. I've got a full squad of a full rank and file unit of Lannister Guard.
Yep.
I'm guessing 4+ is to hit.
That's their baseline to hit. When they're rolling dice, that's the number they rolled hit on.
Okay.
Now their attack dice is actually linked to the remaining ranks in the unit. The individual models represent the unit's health overall. So when you're reduced to like no models, the unit's destroyed. But other than that, it's the remaining ranks that are relevant.
Okay.
So for example, right now each unit here has 3 ranks. This unit is at full fighting capacity.
I'm guessing that's green, so we're going to be the 6. Is that
so
when this unit attacks at full strength?
It's rolling 6 dice,
rolling 6 dice,
and it needs to roll 4+ for each of those to get a successful hit.
Okay.
Okay. As this unit suffers damage, its combat capabilities might be reduced. The moment up until this point, it's still counted as having 3 ranks because it has at least 1 model remaining in this rank.
Okay. That's
the
important to
moment
know.
this last guy here is lost, this unit drops down to having only 2 remaining ranks, and its combat capabilities have gone down. So now it's going to be using its yellow attack die value, which is reduced down to 5.
Yeah, okay.
If this unit is further destroyed, suffers further casualties, and is reduced down to here, then now they're only rolling 3 dice because they're the weakest they can be.
Okay.
Now, there are other rules that are going to play off of the unit's remaining ranks, but the attack one is the most pertinent one.
Okay.
But so in the game, the most important aspect of a unit to keep track of is its remaining ranks.
And real quick too, when you're pulling models, is there a correct way to do that, or how does when this unit takes damage, like how does pulling the models work? So obviously, I don't think I can pull from the front rank.
Right. You always pull in the order of the last rank, and you go from right to left.
Yeah.
Now, I'll be fully honest, pulling models off in the back ranks here and everything in whatever order you want, that's not really going to have any gameplay implications.
Okay.
But just for the sake of keeping things consistent, the rules do state please pull them off from right to left.
And that's important because the upgrade character or upgrade option, right, goes in the...
Yes, they're always going to be in the front left, so they are the last model removed. But their baseline rules also state that they are the last models killed for whatever reason.
And you can't pull this guy out of this unit and go to another unit anyway, right?
Right.
So it doesn't really matter, but thematically and
yes.
it looks better.
Now, theoretically, there are some rules that actually do target attachments specifically and can kill them, but all the rules for how to replace those models and everything are in that relevant ability.
That makes sense. Okay, cool. So all the stuff you need to know, again, is on the card.
On the card. That's right.
Very cool. All right, so back to the unit here, if we can zoom back in on the card. All right, so going back over the stats, that was the movement stat, attack stat.
Yep, and then down the bottom you have your defensive stats.
Okay.
And you have your defense value, which is your shield. Yep. Whenever you're attacked, for every hit you suffer, the defender is then going to roll a defense save. So if the guards are attacked, let's say and hit 3 times, they would roll 3 dice, and for every 3+ they get there, they will block a hit.
So if I roll that, I block 2 hits.
You've suffered 1 wound, 1 model will be removed.
Okay.
Next to that, you've got your morale stat. Think of that as your mental defense. So while your defense stat is your physical armor or your dexterity to jump out of the way, your morale is your mental fortitude. And that's going to come into play when you start dealing with the psychological effects of warfare, such as causing pain. Because guys are seldomly ever wiped out to the man, and that's when they start fighting. Usually it's when units are attacked and they start seeing their friends dying. They might start deciding that fighting is not the best idea. Maybe I just want to run away.
Yeah.
So your morale stat right there represents your psychological defense, if you want to do it like that. And the way that's going to work is that you're going to take 2 dice anytime you're forced to take a morale test, and you need to roll that value or higher.
Okay.
If you don't meet that value, then something bad has happened to you.
Okay.
Sometimes it can result in extra guys running away after attack. Sometimes for example, you might have an effect that's like, I'm going to do a paid mutiny on these guys.
Okay.
I'm trying to bribe them to get them to turn against their own army. Well, they're going to have to make morale tests. So I would roll 2 dice. If they get 7+, they've fended off and said, no, we fight for the cause.
Okay.
If I roll a 6 or lower, then, okay, that money's looking pretty good. So.
And that can manifest in ways of models leaving units, or...
Yeah, it's again, a ton of individual effects.
Okay.
Sometimes it can be like a no-confidence effect, where I'm trying to actually turn off my attachments on an enemy for a round. Sometimes it can be a paid mutiny, where I'm getting the unit to attack itself. The most common one is going to be a panic test, which is going to happen every time the unit's attacked, and some other card effects will cause that. But that's a very special one that basically is for every point they fail by, they lose another guy as they run away.
Okay, question on that real quick. You said the panic test happens anytime they're attacked, do they have to lose models, or can they just be attacked?
It is whenever they lose models.
Okay, so when they lose models during an attack,
yes,
that triggers a panic.
Yep.
Okay.
So there's 2 stages to basically every attack. There's the physical side of things where you're just killing guys.
Right,
And then
right.
there's also the psychological side where you're killing guys in such a way that the rest of the unit might break and, well, not fully break, but some more guys might run away.
Yeah.
And you have units that specialize in those 2 things. Actually, the Mountainsmen, like we looked at earlier, they're pretty nasty about killing guys. But their weapon has the trait called Vicious.
Okay.
Which is the enemy suffers -2 to their panic test rolls.
Ooh.
So in this case here, the Lannisters would effectively have to roll a 9+ to avoid suffering additional casualties, because the Mountainsmen are just that threatening and just intimidating
just crazy
in their attacks.
Yeah.
When they're cutting guys down, you're
When-
like, I'm not want to fight this. I'm running away.
Bob sees Joe get cut up in a really brutal way, he's like, I'm out.
Yeah, they cut Bob in 2.
Yeah.
I'm out of here. Exactly.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay, cool.
So there's a couple different ways to approach every unit to go about it. As you see here, the Lannister Guards have a very high defense save. They've got some of the best armor that money can buy. But their morale is only average. So if you're a smart and savvy commander, you really want to try to break them mentally because they are just getting paid. They're not fighting for a cause.
Right.
Rather than just pushing through that armor.
And then they also have abilities here too? Is that for every unit? Or is
every unit has unique abilities up to 3.
Okay.
And each of those abilities, again, as I said, is going to be unique. You'll see some duplicates here and there. But all the effect of that ability we fully defined on what it does right here. So for example, the Lannister Guards here have the Lannister Supremacy ability. Which basically states if they're attacked and they pass their panic test, the attacker then suffers a panic test with a negative. To represent the fact that you've attacked a bunch of Lannisters in this nice, shiny, gold-trimmed armor and everything, and they didn't even balk at it.
Yeah.
They just sat there and stood it. Like, okay, those guys are better armored than us. They're better geared and whatnot. We can't fight these guys.
Yeah, we got to get out of here.
And it might cost some of your guys to run away.
Okay. Wow. So it's just like a reflective, like, get out of here.
Yes. But again, all the special abilities for those are going to be written right here, fully what it does. Now, in some cases, I'm just going to pull another one off here right quick. You might have a little icon next to the ability.
Okay.
All that's going to mean is it's going to be a little visual reminder of when that ability is going to be relevant.
Okay.
So, for example, with Grey Wind, because I have a little melee attack icon next to this ability, that just means it's relevant whenever he's making his melee attack.
Oh, yeah, the icons match up.
It's just a little visual reminder here. This is a little heart icon, so that means it's interacting with his wounds or in some way. So that's all that means. It's just another little visual reminder going, oh, I need to pay attention to this.
Wait, can we get back to the wounds really quick? Because I saw something on that real fast I wanted to ask about. So it says, Dire Wolf at the start of the unit's activation, free maneuver. This model must suffer 3 wounds before being killed. Does that mean it's got to fail 3 armor checks before?
Yeah, so basically most models will suffer 1 wound and be removed.
Right.
Grey Wind here, obviously, since he's a solo guy by himself, it would be kind of bad if he just suffered 1 wound and then died outright.
Right.
That's not to say that couldn't happen, but this gives him a little extra durability. So if he were to suffer, get attacked, let's say 3 times, and he were to fail one of his defense saves, he would get a wound token based on him. When he gets to 3, that's when he's killed.
Are there other units in the game that have multiple wounds like that?
Most cavalry are going to have multiple wounds. As you saw before, the cavalry are 4 models, but those Stark Outriders each have 2 wounds each.
Okay,
so effectively the unit has 8 wounds.
Right. Makes sense to me. That's really straightforward. Okay, let's check out another unit. What do we got here?
Okay. So yeah, we checked out a unit there. I guess we can just run through the units here if you'd like.
Yeah. Let's keep up with those.
All right, so we've checked out the standard Lannister Guards, and these are 5 points.
Okay.
Something to note is that your standard game is going to be 40 points, but you can really scale as much as you want. But the 3 game sizes that we recommend are a small size game of 30 points, medium size game 40 points, which is our standard, and then a large size game of 50. But again, you can scale up as much or as little as you want.
Okay.
Noting here, the starter box gives you actually more than enough components to play a small size 30-point game with options to switch things out.
Okay.
So
okay.
It's not like a situation where you've to play...
only got 30 points in the box, and that's all you can play ever. No, this is like you've got some...
If you were to actually deck out every single unit here and play everything, I believe you'd come across something like 35 to 36 points.
Okay.
But really, if you're playing 30-point games for the starter box, you're going to have variety in what you're playing. So,
right.
Because I've got to choose here, do I want to run all... I'm going to run all my combat units, but... Do I want to run these more expensive attachments with them, or some cheaper ones spread across?
So there's some play. There's some give and take with the army building in the starter box.
In just the starter box here alone. Honestly, you could buy the starter box and just keep that. And let's say for whatever reason, you didn't want to buy a single other product out here. Like, I don't want any other expansions. I just really have a crush on Jaime, and that's the reason I bought this box. Then you'll get tons of replayability out of the box just in list creation. Not even talking about the 5 different game mode scenarios that we have. We'll get into those later.
We'll get into those, yeah.
But just from a list creation standpoint, you're going to have tons of options.
You've got options,
and that's just physically talking about points.
Yeah.
Because again, that army commander thing that I mentioned earlier, you've got different commander options, which are going to give you more army customization. That we're going to have a long.
We're going to go into that. Yeah, we will go into all that at a later time. Let's just keep going through the units real fast. So we've gone through the Lannister Guard. Let's keep going with him.
Next, we'll go and take a look at the Mountainsmen.
Mountainsmen, yeah.
These guys are pretty straightforward. They're the heavy Lannister damage dealer.
Right on.
They've got great swords. They have a 3+ to hit, and they roll a large number of attack dice.
Yeah. They do.
But their effect on their weapon is they have critical blow and vicious. Critical blow is for every roll 6, you deal 2 hits.
Wow.
And then vicious, the enemy suffers -2 to panic test caused by the attack.
Okay.
So these are just your workhorses. These guys are very simple in what they do. They go make things dead.
Yeah. Move 5, run up. They hit pretty accurately. They're okay on the armor and kind of average on the morale. But man, when they hit stuff.
So another important aspect to talk about this is that we didn't want to make a game here that really just had you rolling tons and tons of dice for very I don't want to say mediocre effects, but that's the best way I'm going to describe it.
Right.
Every dice roll should matter.
Yeah.
So, the most attack dice you're ever going to see in a unit is probably going to cap out around 10 or so. So you're never going to see something that's like, I'm going to roll 20 dice. Like, that's not what's going to happen.
Right.
I'd rather each individual roll really matter for what it's doing.
Sure.
Than just, I'm going to drown you in numbers.
Right. Okay, so it's not just like, I'm going to toss out 30 attacks, and we're going to roll for 5 minutes, and nothing's going to happen. It's going to be like, I'm going to roll, you're going to roll, and that's that.
Yeah. Like the fact that this unit has 10 attack dice, that should be a big, scary thing.
Right. Not this unit, but like another... Yeah, I got you.
But even these guys here, like their damage output potential is very high. Again, that critical blow ability.
Yeah.
But again, fairly straightforward as a unit. They make things dead.
I can go with that. Yeah.
Now we have our Lannister Halberdiers, which is a little more tactical here.
Yeah.
The Mountainsmen, by the way, is a 6-point unit.
Okay, 6 points for those guys.
So right now we've looked at 2 units of Lannister Guards, and then the Mountainsmen, that's going to be 16 points in combat unit. Rounding out our last combat unit option on the Lannister side is the Halberdiers, also a 6-point unit.
Okay.
So 22 points of combat units in the starter box for the Lannister side, and we'll get into what other points mean. But these guys here are actually probably my favorite unit just because of the cool stuff they do.
Yeah.
So they're halberds, so their weapons have reach. To represent that, they actually start with 7 attack dice. Their next rank has 7 attack dice. They actually don't lose any attacks until they're dropped down to that last remaining rank.
Totally makes sense.
In which case they take a heavy hit and are reduced down to 3. So that's again a way their weapons are represented by their stat profile of they don't have any diminishing returns until they really get low in those ranks.
Until they don't have any more ranks, essentially.
Right.
Or the one rank left.
Yep. Their defensive stats and everything is fairly average, which you're going to find across the Lannister army. Their morale is not their real strong point because you're just kind of paid. But they have really two cool special abilities. One is Sundering, which reduces enemy armor when they hit because halberds are giant axes and weighty. Yep.
Right.
But their cool thing is they've got an order ability, set for charge. Now orders are basically once per round abilities, so they can trigger it once. They'll get an order token to show that they've used it, and then at the start of the next round will refresh. But their specific order is set for charge when they're unengaged and charged from the front. So to note, you can bypass this by getting around to a flank or hitting them in the rear or something. But if you charge
You're
them
saying flanking something matters?
It's weird. Positioning matters in a tactical miniature game. It's weird.
Strange.
Radical concept.
Blowing my mind here. Okay, so when you're charged from the front with this order, what happens?
They get to make a reactionary attack.
Nice.
So these guys are fantastic for sending up to a position, parking them on objective, and going, come at me.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, because you don't charge halberds. Like, that's bad.
Well,
it seems bad.
You'd be surprised how often it happens.
From the front, at least.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
You gotta get some positioning around for them.
Shocked. Okay. Very cool. I'm glad to see that. That sounds really tactically important.
Yep. And so that is the combat units for the Lannisters. Let's actually go ahead and we'll move on to the attachments. Let's take Lannister focus.
Sure, yeah,
and then
sounds
move
good.
There. So, attachments, how do they work? All right.
How do they work?
As part of list creation, you're going to buy attachments, and these are combat attachments. They range anywhere from 1 to 3 points in the starter box. And your options are going to be the Assault Veteran, the Guard Captain, Jaime Lannister, and Gregor Clegane.
Can we zoom out just a touch there? Yeah.
So as you see here, we've got the guard captain and the assault veteran are 1 point. Jaime is 2 points, and the mountain is 3 points stacked per unit.
Kinda. Can we go a little bit further? Yeah. Perfect. All right. So those are the attachments. These are units upgrades that you buy for the unit.
Yes, and every unit can have one purchased for it. And this is done before the game starts as part of your list creation.
Okay.
So let's take like the Mountainsmen.
Wait,
here.
so you've got attachments, but you mentioned earlier 2 generals, like
You have your commanders. Commanders are a special type of attachment. Basically, at the start of the game, you're going to choose one character, and these are set in the list as army commanders.
Okay.
We
don't have to go over that now. I just wanted
Yep.
to make these are the generic, or not generic, but these are
the non-commander versions. So characters
okay.
can have different versions.
Okay.
For example, Jaime, this is his young lion version, and it says on the card there, Jaime Lannister, the young lion.
And flip them over.
He has his other version, which is the Kingslayer.
Okay.
These are different cards with different effects. But of course, you can only have one Jaime running around your army.
Right. You can have a Commander Jaime and
you don't have the Lannister twins. Well, the Jaime Lannister twins. I should
the clones, Jaime clones.
Yeah, the clones. But so the way these function here is when you buy them for a unit, you take their unit card here.
Yep.
And you just slot it right on top right there. Boom! Unit has new power. And
Okay.
That's how it functions.
That makes sense. It actually, the little borders line up, so
Yeah.
That's
that makes
great.
total sense.
And this can drastically change how the unit plays and their role in the battlefield. So the reason I chose the Mountainsmen here is because they're, again, a fairly straightforward combat unit.
Yeah.
This is how they function. Depending on the attachment I give them, their role in my army can actually change. Let's say I just wanted them to deal a bunch more damage.
Heck yeah.
Because why not? So let's go ahead and look at Gregor Clegane here.
Okay.
We're going to go and stick him in there.
Boom.
And he's a
attached.
3-point attachment. He is very expensive.
Yeah.
So he's turned this 6-point unit into a 9-point unit.
Okay.
If you're playing a small size game, that's almost
a
a
third,
third
yeah.
of your army. But what is he giving them? He's giving them his what do we call that?
Inhuman
strength ability. So the unit is rolling +2 attack dice and gaining the Sundering effect.
Ooh.
So
Ooh. Wow, +2 attack dice.
Yep. And again, this is one of those rare examples, like I said before, very seldomly are you going to see an attachment that's upgrading the combat capabilities of the unit in such a way. But this is the Mountain.
Yeah, he's
actually going to be contributing to killing a lot more guys.
Wow.
But now, so you've given them to this unit, they're rolling 10 attack dice to their max ranks. They're doing critical blows, Sundering, and Vicious.
That is dirty. So that's both of those trigger whenever you use your melee attack.
Yes, as you see, these all have their little melee attack icon there, so it's just a little visual reminder, I'm making an attack. I need to pay attention to these 2 abilities.
Very cool. Quick question. He has Sundering here. The Halberdiers also have Sundering. Do those stack? How does that work?
So you either have an ability or you don't. And because that Sundering is the Sundering ability,
okay,
you either have it or you don't. So if I have an attachment that gives Sundering, it's not going to be really beneficial to stick him with the Halberdiers unless unless I want the other effects. But in that case, I'm paying for something that I'm already getting. So.
Okay. So just to be clear, those you don't get Sundering -2 now. It's just
the effects do not stack. It's a yes or no thing. I either have it or I don't.
Gotcha.
Now the Mountain here, unfortunately, he does have one minor little side effect. Is that he has uncontrolled rage, which is the unit must declare a charge action if it can. So he's good with a unit that you already want to go full aggressive with. But if you want something to like hold an objective or whatnot, then that's not.
So
the
you
best.
probably shouldn't put him with the Halberdiers.
It depends. I mean, if you're putting with the Halberdiers, you're going to gain a unit that's not going to lose combat capabilities until it's reduced to its last rank.
That's true.
And it's going to be dealing a ton of damage.
Yeah.
Just, again, their role in the battlefield changed. With that baseline unit of Halberdiers, they're good for taking and holding objective. Now they became a big aggressive unit.
That's true. That's a very good point.
Contrast to this, though.
Yeah.
If I were to take instead a assault veteran.
Yep.
An assault veteran here states that when the unit would fail a morale test, he can kill a guy out of the unit to make them automatically pass it.
Nice.
This one turns them into a little bit more of a, I can hold an objective better, or I'm good against playing against psychological effects. I'll be fully honest, the Assault Veteran is not my first choice that I would attach in with the Mountainsmen, but just to show you how the different effects can impact.
But that would be great for something like the Halberdiers where they're already designed to kind of stay where they're at.
To me, he's a fantastic add-in with the Lannister Guards because their effect triggers when they pass a morale test.
Oh, yeah. So you've got some built-in...
Yep, so this way I can guarantee it that at least once per round, because this is an order, when they need it most, I can make sure they pass it.
Nice.
One of my favorites to actually add in with the Mountainsmen, and this surprises a lot of people, is the Guard Captain. Because he's by his nature fairly defensive.
Okay. But
this is actually going to play off very well with the Mountainsmen, because it turns them into a nice objective holder.
Okay.
The Guard Captain has the Hold the Line ability order. So it is when they start the activation engaged, they gain +2 attack dice and +1 to hit.
Oh, ooh.
So now you've got this big unit of greatsword guys who have been trained to take and hold a point, and if you come at them, they're going to hit you on a 2+, rolling 2 extra dice.
That's pretty mean.
And that's going to change their role again on the battlefield from being,
yeah.
I want these guys to be aggressive and get a charge off, to, I can hold these guys back and wait for you to come to me.
Wow.
And in every single game mode that you're playing, it's all victory point based. You're never going to play a game where it's just going to be, we're going to kill each other. I mean,
okay.
Of course, you can choose to play that if you want, but the game is based around objectives and playing to the mission that you were doing.
Okay.
So, you're usually going to be playing for taking objectives, trying to accomplish secret missions. It's, again, more than just killing.
So, but you mentioned the victory point stuff, too. Like, how does that tie into the objectives? Like, is there a certain number of victory points you're trying to get to, or is it
So in every single game mode, you're trying to get 10 victory points.
Okay.
But each game mode, how you acquire victory points is going to be different.
Oh.
For example, in a Game of Thrones, there are objectives across the battlefield. You get points at the end of every round for taking and holding those points.
Okay.
In A Win's a Winner, you actually have secret missions drawn from a deck that are telling you specific conditions you're trying to accomplish to get those points. And those can range from getting units across the battlefield to assassinating certain guys. It's a full deck of different things to do.
Okay, and we'll probably go over that. We'll go over that later.
Oh, yeah.
But one other question I had, too, about the attachments. You can only ever have one attachment to a unit, right?
Yes.
Like, I can't have the guard captain and Jaime Lannister
Correct.
and the mountain and, like, just 40 dudes in it.
Yeah, you're not going to make a big Death Star if all these characters decide they're just going to hang out.
Just want to be sure about that. Okay.
There are a couple of rare exceptions. Like, one of the Kickstarter units we released was Ramsay Bolton. He actually has Reek that tags along with him, but that's, again, a special rule. It says on the card there that they ignore the generic rule, and that's how it functions.
Okay, cool. But that is an exception and
That's an exception, that's not the rule.
Okay.
The baseline rule is every unit can have one attachment max.
Okay, very cool. So that was all of the unit attachments. We talked about the commanders. Let's go ahead. Let's keep going with the Lannister stuff real fast.
Okay.
The Lannister commanders. We've got Jaime and the Mountain, correct?
Yes. So in the starter box, you have two different commanders here. You have Jaime Lannister, the Kingslayer, and Gregor Clegane, the Mountain.
Okay.
And these are going to tie into the Tactics deck, which, let's go ahead and talk about this element.
Yeah.
So this is a deck of cards that is representative of how your faction fights. Okay.
Okay.
Each faction has a small deck of 14 generic tactics cards here.
Yep.
This was pushed out here. These are 7 cards, 2 copies each.
Let me So there's 7 cards, 7 different cards, but there's 2 copies of each card, and this is the core of your Lannister tactic deck.
This is basically defining the general play style of the Lannisters.
Okay.
Which in this specific situation, the Lannisters have a very strong theme of messing with enemy morale and a lot of defensive capabilities.
Okay.
So they're going to win through a lot of political unrest and causing dissension in your ranks and things like that. Whereas contrast to the Starks, they're a much more aggressive faction that's going to win combat by victory in the fields of battle and whatnot.
Okay, so this, if you're playing Lannisters, though, you start with this.
You're always going to have these 14,
right?
These 7 generic cards in your deck for 14.
2 copies,
14. The first thing, and probably the most important aspect of list creation, is you're going to then choose an army commander.
Right.
And each character that can be a commander is designated by it. You'll have a little C here in their cost. You get 1 commander for free.
Okay, I was going to ask, there's no points cost for these guys. You're going to have one anyway.
Yes.
So.
It's a mandatory thing, but you only get 1.
Yeah.
So in the starter box, like I said, you're going to have Jaime or the Mountain. Those are your 2 options.
Okay.
When you choose one of those as your commander, you're going to get their tactics cards, which are 3 unique cards, 2 copies each, so 6, added into your tactics deck.
And these are the Mountains cards here, real quick. So these 6 cards are added to the other 14 cards for the Lannister deck to create your 20
card tactic deck.
Okay, cool.
So a full third of your deck is going to be made up of the specific cards from your commander. And that's going to drastically change how your army functions, because you're always going to have your generic tactics that are available to your faction.
Sure.
But then these are going to change your playstyle by a large degree. So, and just go over some of these tactic cards here and how they function. Each of the tactics cards here, you're going to get a set number of these every round. You're going to draw 3. And then at the start of each round, you will replenish your hand up.
So you draw 3, or you start with 3?
You start with 3, and you refresh up to having 3.
Up to 3.
Yes.
Can you have more than 3?
There's some special effects and whatnot, which could lead you to have more in your hand.
Okay.
But your baseline is 3 in most every situation.
Right on. And is there a way to, if I don't like the tactic cards I have, can I just chuck them, or how does that work?
At the end of the round, you can discard whatever ones you want, and then you'll refresh your hand back up till you have at least 3.
Makes sense. Okay.
And the way the tactic cards function is that they each have a trigger at the top and then they have an effect.
Right.
So just to give a baseline one right here, Wealth of the Rock.
Right.
That is when a friendly unit is attacked after dice are rolled, you can play the card, and it gives you +1 to your defense saves.
Okay, so to play the card, there's going to be an effect that triggers the card.
Yes.
And then you do what the card says.
There's no resource cost or anything to play
Okay.
other than just discarding the card after you do it. So,
Nice.
Has a trigger. Oh, this trigger was met. I can choose to play
I can
the card.
do this. Nice.
And that can range, again, a full gambit of anything from I'm attacked to I'm making an attack to whatever the conditions are on there.
Okay.
But the commander's specific cards will modify how your army is going to play.
Okay.
So, for example, if I've taken the Mountain as my commander,
Okay.
he is not really subtle in how he goes about doing things.
No, and this looks like a unit attachment as well. So I'm
Yes,
taking
all
he
the-
goes.
Most of the commanders,
Yeah.
the ones in the starter box, are all attachments.
Okay.
So they're going to be physical on the battlefield. We have released some commanders through the Kickstarter and whatnot that are non-combat characters, which we'll get to those later.
Sure.
But
But
they're-
you're basically going to attach this commander version of the mountain to a unit
yes.
in the battle, and then that unit is also going to get those abilities, which are different from the other
Yes.
attachments abilities. Okay.
Like, for example, this version of the Mountain here, he has Unstoppable Fury,
Yeah.
which is every time he attacks, he deals automatic wounds to the unit. And he also has
Oh, wow.
Furious Charge, so he actually causes units that he charges to become panicked, which we'll get into that later, but
Yeah.
it's never a good thing to, have a unit that's panicked. So,
Okay, cool. And then Jaime, just real quick to look at his abilities, he's got counterattack.
so Jaime's playstyle specializes in punishing your enemy for failing. He basically, all of his tactics cards are going to be defensive in nature, but they're going to, oh, you're attacking me? I'm going to get extra saves to my, extra defense saves. Or you've attacked me and you've rolled a bunch of misses, I've got riposte, so I can deal you a bunch of wounds.
Oh, nice, nice.
So his army is going to be a lot more reactionary and a lot more defensive focused than one led by the Mountain. A lot of his cards are going to be focused on charging and dealing extra damage when you're attacking and overrunning enemies and things like that. So
Right.
we could theoretically be playing the same exact Lannister army on both sides. You've taken the same units, I've taken the same units. But because we've chosen different commanders,
They're going to play very
you're
differently.
going to play entirely differently.
Wow, okay. And then we still have the option to change units out, and so I'm seeing how like the army building can get pretty in depth
Mhm.
too. All right, that's pretty cool.
So, like, for example, with the Mountain, I know that his cards are going to make me very aggressive.
Yeah.
My natural incline is I actually want to run a bunch of Mountainsmen because they're naturally going into that how that functions. Alternatively, though, I could note that his cards make my guys more aggressive by normal. So I could actually synergize by taking some of the more defensive units and try to get kind of best of both worlds there, where
Yeah.
the unit has a baseline built-in defensive stat, but my tactics cards are letting me get the
Extra punch to punch through other units that
Exactly.
they normally wouldn't be able to go. Okay. Yeah, I can see how that could. Yeah, totally. You could go either way with it. Yeah.
Mhm.
Very cool. So that was the commander cards with the tactics cards too. What's next over there? You got a ton of stuff.
I also want to point out just one last little kind of cool thing, which, given the starter box, but this will be expanded on more. So you have the Mountain here.
Yep.
Usually a commander's tactics cards will gain an additional benefit if you're targeting the unit that he is in.
Oh.
For example, his Overrun card, which is one of the fan favorites,
Right.
basically says when you destroy a unit, you get to make a free overrun and potentially charge another unit.
Nice.
So, fun times there.
Yeah.
But it has an additional benefit that says if you're targeting a unit that contains Gregor Clegane or a House Clegane unit,
Right.
such as your House Clegane Mountainsmen,
Right. So
then
you
it
can see
gains an
here.
additional benefit.
So the House Clegane there, so Overrun would work on them even though they may not have Gregor Clegane in the unit.
Right. Well, so you can play the card in any unit, but it has a secondary effect here that gains additional buff for playing it on a unit that contains Gregor or a House Clegane.
Right, that's
unit.
what I'm saying. Like this.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you wanted to theme out your army and run nothing but House Clegane, then
Yeah.
now you've got more of an incentive to do so because now your tactics are going to synergize more because, surprise, you've taken more of the brigands that work for the Mountain. They're kind of used to what he does. So when he says go kill those guys, they're like, we know exactly the way you want us to kill them, so that's how we're going to do it.
All right. Yeah, I like it. Okay. That helps build out a theme for us and kind of rewards you for doing so.
Exactly.
Very cool. All right. Is it start time?
It is not, because we have one more element to talk about.
Oh.
And that is the non-combat characters.
Non-combat. Yeah.
So, this is going to be a little bit of a sidetrack from talking about units, but we need to talk about the tactics board here.
Tactics board,
And how they
okay.
interact with non-combat.
All right.
So another element, one of the things that sets this game apart from most is you have your tactics board.
Okay.
And this represents basically the non-combat aspects of the fight that are happening. I'm going to go ahead and give you Cersei and Tyrion over here.
All right.
Now what this is this represents, again, all the things that are happening to affect the fight that are not physically taking place on the battlefield.
Right.
So you have Cersei, you have Tyrion, you've bought these guys with points into your army. For example here, these guys both cost you 4 points. Not cheap. They're almost as expensive as
I was going to say
themselves.
that is not cheap at all. So we've got Tyrion, we've got Cersei. They cost points, and they have abilities too.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, we'll get to the
We'll
abilities
get to that in a
just
second. I'm
moment.
just going to move down here.
But so, the game is alternating activations. Probably something we should have said way earlier, but we didn't.
D6 based, alternating activations, rank and file. Okay.
Yep.
Miniatures
So-
combat.
And just in case anyone's confused by alternating activations, means I'm going to activate a unit, you're going to activate a unit, and it's going to go back and forth. So I'm not going to activate everything of mine, and then you go. We're going to choose individual units to go, and then we're going to have to choose the order. Okay?
Makes sense.
As one of my activations on my turn, I can, instead of choosing to activate one of my combat units, I can activate one of my non-combat guys.
Okay.
And the benefit of doing that is that when they activate, they move on to one of the zones of the tactics board. Each of these zones has a different immediate effect that they're going to gain for claiming that area.
Okay.
And this can range from giving my guys free attack actions, to free move actions, to drawing additional tactics cards, restoring wounds to units. As like here, I'm actually paying guys for
Oh,
turn.
yeah.
The crown area here can cause panic in enemies because I'm just, I'm in charge here.
Yeah.
So you're gaining additional benefits here to play into the long term.
Okay.
But another important aspect of that is going
I
back...
was going to say, the tactics card had the symbols, right?
Yes. Moves back to your tactics cards.
Okay.
All the generic tactics cards, and some of your commander ones, have an additional benefit if you claim a zone on
Let
the
me see
tactics
one of
board.
those real quick.
And each faction has a different focus as well.
Okay,
So,
so
for
here's
example,
one.
the Lannisters, the Crown, and the Wealth area. That is their specialization. A lot of their cards are going to gain additional benefits if you have claimed this area earlier in the round. So it's going to become a tactical option. Do I want to get my combat units activated first to maybe get those swings in of positioning in? Or do I want to set up for later in the round by moving into these areas to give me some buffs? So going back to that card we played earlier, Wealth of the Rock. It states that when I'm attacked, I play the card and I get +1 to my defense saves.
Which is pretty awesome.
If I control the wealth area of the tactics board, I gain that secondary effect down there, which says I can also reroll any of my defense dice.
And you have to own that first before it'll trigger, because it would make
Correct.
sense otherwise. Right. Okay. Wow, so if you want to set up the kind of the turn for the long play, maybe you activate those first, maybe, or do you try to get the physical just jump on your opponent and just
Exactly.
pound? Oh, wow.
It's got a choice of, do I want to set up for the long play? Do I need the immediate benefit now?
Yeah. The interaction between what's going on the board and then this, not side game, but activating these units, does that take up one of my...
It is one of your activations.
Wow.
So if I'm going first this round, I might have a unit that's in combat, and it's in combat with a dangerous unit.
Yeah.
Those are my options. Do I attack them to try to maybe wipe them out or damage them?
Mm-hmm.
But do I maybe claim this spot here? Because once these spots are claimed, they're claimed for the round. So if Tyrion is claimed here...
So I can't put Cersei and Tyrion... It's only
Right.
one... And then if I was playing Stark and I also have non-combat characters, I can't, bump
Right.
you off. And
This
take
zone
it.
has been taken
That's
up.
okay. Good
It
to
also
know.
leads to some counterplay. So, for example, Starks. I know that if I'm playing against Lannisters, this crown area is going to boost their cards, and so is this wealth area. So, as a Stark, my areas are combat and maneuvering.
Okay.
It might behoove me, though, to go okay, I don't really want any of these shenanigans going on, so I'm going to take this crown area here from you.
Yeah.
I've blocked this off from you taking this round. I'm still going to get this really cool benefit.
I was going to say, none of the benefits are terrible. Reading them over real fast. An enemy must take a panic test and suffers -1 to their roll. That's not bad at all.
Right. None of these effects are bad. Just some armies are going to synergize better with others.
Yeah.
But, for example, like I said earlier, one of the Lannister playstyles is causing penalties to morale and causing panic tests. So, usually they're going to, if you have to take a panic test,
Yeah.
they've got ways to really punish you for that test.
Gotcha,
So the
gotcha.
Starks might want to go, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to block you from that spot. I'm going to get this cool benefit. But more importantly, and again, it's stopping a lot of your effects for this round.
Gotcha. That could be super important.
And the other design element of these areas is that these are a lot of kind of problem-solving zones. So there's a lot of options there that are going to fix issues that you might be coming across in your overall strategy, for example.
Right.
So, example, Lannister Guards. Let's default back to them. You got super high armor. Okay, let's say in my army, in my list I've made, I don't have any ways to really like deal with that armor because you know maybe I plan things badly or I just don't because that's the list I've chosen to run.
Right.
I know the crown area here specifically targets an enemy's morale in the form of panic tests.
Yeah.
That gives me a workaround to deal with that unit. So these are going to help you mitigate some of your things by like not necessarily just going, well, I can't do anything to that unit.
So it's going to help supplement your weakness, but not replace them entirely. It's going to give you some options, kind of off board, but on the board that you can still deal with heavily armored units, or
or even those situations that change on the fly.
Yeah.
For example, here you have your maneuver zone, which allows you to make a free maneuver or retreat action with a unit.
It's almost like a get out of jail card. If you position poorly and you're like, don't want to be here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, I activated this unit. They moved up. They failed to charge here. Well, now they're stuck in a very dangerous spot. Okay, well, then I can at least fix that if I'm just going to be clever about it here.
Okay.
But again, you're sacrificing options somewhere. It's either I'm going to give up a combat activation here to choose a political benefit, or I'm going to activate a combat unit here, get my physical thing on here, possibly take an objective or whatnot, but I'm leaving this open to my opponents, then counter against me here.
Okay.
Now, in addition to all that, you have your non-combat characters, which have additional powers on them, and they're as unique as any other powers in the game. Sometimes they're effects that trigger for moving onto the tactics board. Sometimes they're boosts to certain zones on the tactics board. Looking at Cersei and Tyrion here, Cersei has the influence effect, which says that when she activates and she claims a zone on the tactics board, you then take her card and you attach it to a unit. For the rest of the round, that unit suffers -2 to its panic tests.
Wow, so if you put Cersei on the crown, an enemy must take a panic test and suffers -1. You could attach Cersei to that unit and now they're taking a -3?
They're taking a -3. It's a very powerful just, bam, I've hit you.
Yeah, and that had nothing to do with anything that happened in terms of fighting in combat. That's just hey, take some panic
That was
test.
her ability there called No Confidence, which is basically, she's the Queen Regent. I mean, if you know anything about Cersei, she's manipulating.
Right. A little bit,
she's very much like, we've threatened this enemy unit here. We said, hey, if you guys keep fighting this way, I'm going to kill your families.
Yeah.
Lannisters, it's all that just nasty stuff here.
Yeah.
But again, knowing that my enemy has that, I might want to block that spot off, or it's just something I'm going to have to deal with. Now, granted, what you just described right there is the most basic strategy of her.
Sure.
Place her here, zap a unit of -3.
Yeah, totally.
But you might not necessarily want to target the same unit. So you might go like, okay, I'm just going to hit this unit here with this panic test, but she's going to influence this one over here because I'm really going to start laying into it with my other card effects or things. So, it's not so cut and dry of just...
Yeah. And these effects, you attach this to an enemy unit, right?
So the influence, the way it's worded, it can be attached to any unit. Theoretically, you could put it on your own.
But that doesn't
it's in no way a benefit. So don't do that.
Don't do that.
Unless you have some brilliant strategy that I don't know, trying to confuse your opponent to death.
It's first turn of the game, nothing's happening. I'm just going to make these guys -2 because
We're just going to put a little self-threat in here, our own guys.
You better do well.
Otherwise, we're watching. Contrast Cersei to Tyrion.
Yeah.
Tyrion, for purchasing him, he says your tactics card hand size is increased by 1. So from turn 1 of the game, I'm drawing 4 cards versus your 3.
Nice.
But in addition to that, he actually starts with 2 tokens on his card that allow you to, twice per game, expend a token off of his card and look at your opponent's hand and discard a card.
Ooh. So the tactics card.
Yes.
So, not only do you get to see what they're planning, you can make them get rid of a card too.
Exactly.
Wow.
So, start of my round here and everything, Tyrion, the master strategist that he is, in fact, I believe that ability is actually called Master Tactician. Or
Tactical
Mastermind. Yes. I go like, man, I've got to make a really cool play this turn. I don't want anything to go wrong. I'm going to spend one of these tokens and look in your hand and see what you have.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to help you set up. But again, it's an investment. These guys cost almost just as much as combat units.
Yeah.
So, but they're worth it. That's a twice per game ability.
Yeah.
And noting that, let's say I'm playing against Tyrion here. Man, that was super annoying. Now they know what I'm going to do. I can go to the tactics zone of the board right here, which says draw 2 tactics cards.
Yep.
And at least okay, well now I've got some other options here. So
yeah, it also gives you a condition, which we haven't talked about yet, but those seem like they'd be cool too.
Yeah.
So
that's one of the elements of a tactics board here is that it is not about just mitigating weaknesses and upping strengths, but it's tactics. It gives you more options where otherwise you might not have them.
Very cool. And that's totally, a very unique thing you have in this game to change up the way you can manipulate and mess with stuff on the board. So,
and just to cover the other element here that we have, this tracker at the bottom is the game goes a maximum of 6 rounds, and that's specifically there just to track the rounds. So that's what that's there for.
Just
goes
a
to
round
6
tracker.
game ends. Yep.
Okay.
Also noting that everything visually, we're still doing some graphical tweaks and things like that, so nothing's finalized. Just throwing that out there as well.
Okay, so this board probably may or may not look a little different by the time
exactly.
it ships.
Just,
Gotcha.
So they don't think that these are final things here and all that.
Gotcha.
All right. That actually, I believe, has covered every element of
The Lannisters. Yes.
And now hopefully people have a general idea of, the different elements, and we can start moving through things.
Cool. All right, is it Stark time to go through?
It's Stark time.
Okay.
You sound excited about these.
I just want to see what they do now. The Lannisters sound really cool, and really have some really dirty tricks. So now I'm curious as to what the Starks are going to have to combat that to keep this.
The Starks are a very combat-focused army. The Lannisters are going to have a lot of political intrigue, and that's their playground. Mm-hmm. The Starks can win on the field. They also have a very heavy theme of combat and mobility. With the Sworn Swords here, they also have a theme of, the theme of the Starks in general is, I kind of view this as the candle burns brightest just before it's extinguished. They get very strong when they're nearly defeated or destroyed.
Interesting.
That's going to be represented a lot more in House Umber and their Berserker playstyle, but it's kind of an overarching theme of the Starks. They're going to gain benefits of some form when they get damaged. Not necessarily always just raw combat stuff, but things like that.
Okay.
So the Sworn Swords here.
Yeah.
Contrasting Lannister Guards, they're a little bit faster because their armor's their defense
a little
is
lighter.
good.
Yeah.
They have more attack dice.
Yep.
And their defense is just a little bit worse, and their morale is average here.
Okay.
So moving over here, they have their Stark Fury ability. This really pushes their offensive capabilities. Basically, when they attack, they can choose to suffer D3 automatic wounds to gain +1 to hit and critical blow.
And you just to note real fast.
Oh yeah,
we
this
actually
is
have.
Yeah, the game actually does come with a D3 die.
It actually does come with a D3 die. This is not just a misprint. This is a D3 die.
Yep.
Apparently, people couldn't figure out a D6.
Well, we just make things easier for people.
It's just
so,
easier.
Bending the rules of physics.
Ah, it's a D3 die. What is going on?
It's only got 3 results, but 6 sides.
Well, my mind is blown. All right, so jokes aside, you take D3 wounds. What happens?
They gain critical blow and +1 hit for the attack. So they're going to gain a huge boost to offensive capabilities.
And again, all those rules are on the card. So critical blow says rolls of 6, deal 2 hits.
Yep. But it's also noting that if they're reduced down to only 1 rank, they don't suffer those wounds anymore. So they just get that ability just all the time.
Oh, wow. So if you... Okay. Nice. So when you're down to 1 rank, you're just going to be like, I'm going to do this Stark Fury because
this is a lesson that a lot of enemies don't seem to be learning about House Stark. Kill the whole family. You can't leave survivors because they're going to be a problem.
Right.
So that's when you're playing against Starks, just keep that in mind. Wipe out whole units. Don't leave them partially alive.
Okay. Very, very cool. Kill all the Starks. Got it.
And here's your favorite here, the Umber Berserkers.
Yeah, these guys look
Yay.
cool.
These guys are super unique in the fact that they're one of the only units that gain more attack dice as they take damage.
Yeah, wow, they went from 7 to 10. So 3 ranks is 7 in attacks, 8 in the middle with 2 ranks, and 10 swings.
Yep.
With 1 rank. That's pretty cool. And they're fast too. Speed 6.
Yeah, that's because they're not really wearing much armor, but go figure.
Yeah.
But their morale is also super good at a 5+.
Wow, yeah. And that's a 2d6 test.
Yes.
So, pretty nice.
It's very hard to bribe or make Berserkers break and run away.
I'm shocked.
It is easy to. It is technically easy to cut them down individually, but the more you do that, the more angry they're just going to get.
Right on. And then their Berserker axes are pretty mean.
So they're just going to start cutting through enemy defenses by reducing their defense save by 1. So even Lannister Guards with their usual 3+ is going to reduce down to a 4+.
Yeah.
So
watch out for those guys.
Yeah. These are, now to note here, these are also the most expensive combat unit in the starter box at a staggering 7 points right there.
Okay. Keep that in mind, folks. 7 points for those guys. Very cool. Let's take a look at the next one.
The next one we have is these Stark Outriders. These represent the speed and maneuverability of the faction.
Right on. Wow, they have a lot of abilities here. Okay, let's go through this real fast.
So they have the light cavalry ability, which this one here you're going to see on most cavalry. It's going to be light cavalry, heavy cavalry. But one thing you'll note is that their speed value is not insanely high. Which
no, Yeah, I thought they would lighter count. I thought they would be moving quicker.
As you can see, they're moving just as fast as the Berserkers.
Yeah, I was going to say.
That's because we didn't want to have any large, insane values on cards.
Okay.
So that's represented by the light cavalry rule, which states at the start of the unit's activation, they make a free maneuver action, which is they move up to their speed.
Oh, so you're basically getting a double move.
Yes, at the slowest,
Yeah.
they're moving twice as fast as everyone else.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. And
so
they have the 2 wounds as well. I noticed they only have the 2 ranks, but that's because
they only have 2 ranks.
Okay, so
Yep.
there's no red number there, but that makes sense.
Yep.
Okay, and they have pretty good morale. 6+ is not.
Yeah, it's not amazing, but again, these guys, it's a little bit better than average.
Okay. When you fail a morale check, is that the number of models you're pulling, or is that wounds, or how does that work?
So the wording for that is the number of
Panic
automatic
text.
wounds you suffer
Okay.
when you fail a panic test. So, for example, if they rolled a 3, they would suffer 3 automatic wounds, which in this case would remove 1 whole model and then put a wound on another one.
Gotcha. Okay, just wanted to be clear about that. And
Yes.
then Outrider's Blade, if you're in the flank or rear, they become vulnerable, and that's a
Which is getting to one of those conditions that we'll talk about in a bit. But basically, it means that the enemy suffers penalties to their defense.
makes sense.
So it's really pushing the fact that these guys don't charge them head on into a unit.
So you're saying I should never charge the halberdiers head on with these guys? Maybe work my way around and get like tactical positioning. Maybe
use that extra free maneuver that you're getting to
What?
work around the flank.
Yeah. Okay.
And then they've got their swift retreat order, which is when they're attacked, they can make a free retreat action. So it's very hard to pin them down.
Oh wow. Real quick, pinning stuff down in combat. What do you mean by that? Can you stop? Can you lock people in? Oh, we haven't got to combat yet, but I guess we'll cover that later. But is there a way to do that?
So basically, once you're in combat unless you spend your action to make a retreat action.
Okay.
And with the cavalry here, noting that these guys are only 4 models, so the unit only is comprised of 8 total wounds, and it's not the best defense in the world. It's strictly average, but they're not meant to go and just be the only guys attacking unit.
Right.
Unless you've got some better plan here.
Okay.
But you really you want to get them in, hit their target, and then get them back out so they can just go and cause panic across the battlefield. Not
Okay.
necessarily like actual panic, but just so discoordinate.
Sure.
Use them tactically. Run them up the flanks, hit the sides. Don't run them directly into someone. There's much better units for that.
Okay.
Like your Berserkers.
Like your Berserkers. Very cool.
In fact, that's a nice little thing there. Just run the Berserkers into someone, and then next round, have the Outriders come to the side and hit into the flanks. You'll wipe out almost anything.
Nice. Okay, that's from the developer guys, so keep that in mind. Designer, Michael says it'll kill everything. So
Yep, absolutely. 100% guaranteed.
Guaranteed your money back. No.
60% of the time works every time. So those are the combat units for Stark. Well, actually, we have Grey Wind.
We do have Grey. We didn't talk. We showed him off. We didn't talk about him. So here's
Grey Wind here. If you'll flip his card over, you'll actually see that he is 0 points, but
he's free 93.
Can only be played in an army that contains Robb Stark.
Right. So if you take Great John Umber, you're not taking Grey Wind.
So if you're taking him as your commander, you get him for free. If you're taking him as your unit attachment, you're paying points for him, but you're getting Grey Wind for free.
Oh, okay. So not bad.
Yep.
Okay.
So there's never a reason to not include Grey Wind. Well, okay. Theoretically, there isn't. One of the baseline rules for playing any of the game modes is anytime you destroy a unit, they're worth a victory point.
Oh, so he can be a liability in that guard.
He could be a liability. You're getting a free unit, which is giving you another activation, which is giving you all the benefits that he has.
Yeah.
But he is only a direwolf, and unfortunately, direwolves are susceptible to swords and axes and anything.
I mean, he's gonna mess one dude up though.
He is gonna mess one guy up, but really, you're not looking at him for his attack capabilities. You're looking at him for...
I am. I don't know.
Okay, fine. Just charge him right into the
Right. I'm gonna go right to the halberdiers right in the front and just kill one dude dead.
Here's the thing: if you run him into the front of the halberdiers, you might bait out their set for charge ability.
Hey.
So.
Yeah. You guys. Yeah. Okay.
If you're willing to sacrifice, because that's the option, sir. Do we let the direwolf charge and kill a guy and potentially cause a panic test? Or do we just stab him to death when he comes?
Yeah.
So actually, that's a tactical thing. It depends on how cutthroat you want to be, of how much
true.
you're willing to sacrifice your direwolves.
Okay, but what are you really using him for here?
He is stalking assault, which is if he attacks enemy from the flank or rear, they become vulnerable. It's basically the same effect that the Outriders have, but it's a freebie.
Okay.
So that's a good thing for like a unit that you have going around here. Just you've got direwolf in the flank now.
And he's pretty quick. He's got the 6 speed, and he's got the free maneuver action too.
Yes, his direwolf effect gives him 3 wounds. And lets him get that free maneuver.
Okay.
So pretty good for free.
Yeah.
His defense is also really good. But, again, he's not going to win any fights by himself.
Right.
Fun fact, 2+ morale, because it's really hard to bribe something that doesn't speak English.
It's true.
Or sorry, Westerosi, or whatever.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dothraki. He definitely doesn't speak Dothraki.
I don't know. I don't
Wouldn't
know
it be
languages
funny
he
if he
speaks. Yeah.
Only speaks Dothraki.
He's been trying to talk, it's just no one ever understood, Dothraki from all the runs.
Right. There you go.
So those are the combat units.
Non-combat units. We've got Sansa and Caitlyn, right?
Yes. Okay, we'll go ahead and jump into the non-combat units then.
Yeah,
Fine,
let's
we'll
do it.
Spice things up a bit.
Change it up.
Yep. Caitlyn and Sansa.
All right.
Isendar says he speaks Dothraki.
Oh, he would say. He would. Isendar's one of our regulars. Hi,
I've
Isendar.
I've expressed my opinion.
All right, so we have the non-combat characters real quick. Caitlyn's going to cost 4 points. Sansa's going to cost 3.
Yep. So this represents Caitlyn, Lady of Winterfell, when she's all badass and everything. And Sansa, this is her version called the Little Bird. This is when she's just starting to get into the politics, and just really beginning to learn how to play the Game of Thrones. So she's not really to any great level or anything.
Yeah.
She's just learning, and that's actually represented by her repeating the words ability, which is once per game, she can get a tactics card from your deck or discard pile.
Okay.
And basically what this is representing is the fact that she doesn't do anything on her own. She's seen someone do this, she knows how it kind of works, so she can repeat those words and go like, oh, that was a good idea then, let's do that now.
Yeah.
But again, it's just a once per game effect. You use it, flip it over, it's been used. That doesn't stop her model from being used or anything.
Okay.
It's just, this effect has been activated. But it's that really clutch, like, oh, I need this card and I need it now.
Like if Tyrion made you discard that one card that you really, really wanted, you'd be like, okay, well, Sansa's just going to get it right back.
I learned it from you, and
Yeah.
just snags it back.
Ah, Baelish. All right, what do we got here with Caitlyn here?
And meanwhile, Caitlyn, she is, the Lady of Winterfell, but more importantly, she is a Tully. And she's representing the Tully words here of, family, duty, honor. I guess I shouldn't hide that away from the camera there. She has an influence effect where she's put on a unit, you can remove a condition token from them, which is a nice little benefit. But the secondary effect of the unit always attacks using its highest value attack die.
Ooh.
She's able to inspire the men, via the words of her family, duty, honor, and make it so they're fighting their full combat capabilities regardless of the losses they've suffered. Or in the cases of the Berserkers, get super riled up.
I was going to say the Berserker, because the 10 is the greatest value. It's not based on the...
Exactly.
Wow, so it's going to just be... I could have 3 ranks of them hitting at 10.
Yep. They go like, yeah, Caitlyn really riled us up in this speech that she gave, and now we're going to kill these guys really dead.
Kill them really dead.
Yep.
All right,
kill them to death.
Cool. All right, do you want to do the attachments real quick?
Sure, we can look at the attachments. Well, they're the last things to look at, I suppose, before the...
Tactics cards, too. But
and the commanders. So
Yeah,
let's
we'll
look at
look at
the... Yes. So we have 2 generic ones.
And real quick, chat, I know you guys are chomping at the bit to ask questions. We will get to those. We're just going to go through the rest of the cards for the Starks, and then we will take some questions.
I think that'll be a good time for questions after that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Cool.
So we have our 2 generic attachments for the Starks with the Sworn Sword Captain.
Yes.
Very basic little effect right there. When the unit makes a melee attack, after you roll, you get a reroll. It's a good
Makes
1 point
sense.
investment.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
And then you have the Umber Champion, Fury Unleashed. While you have 1 or more destroyed ranks, the attacks gain Vicious, which is your enemy suffers -2 to panic test.
Ouch.
So, this one, the natural thing you're going to think, I'm going to throw in the Berserkers and just up their damage capability that much, turning them into an 8-point unit, making them super expensive. That's fine. Nothing wrong with doing that. But what this does is if you stick them into other units, like, say, the Sworn Swords, then it refocuses how they're dealing their damage. Like we talked about before, I keep going back to the Lannister Guards. It's such a good example. Lannister Guards have a 3+ defense save. Again, that's it's hard to crack through that. Their morale, though, is bad to average. If I'm now vicious, I'm switching my focus on how I'm dealing them damage from just physical damage to now actually hitting their and causing panic tests.
Because if you have your Sworn Swords get in there against the Lannisters, you may get 1 or 2 kills. You're going to probably cause a panic check.
Yes.
Really good odds. You're not going to kill them all in just unless somebody rolls really bad or somebody rolls really awesome. So if you're probably going to cause a panic check, but the psychological effect of that with the Umber Champion is going to be just way worse now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so it's going to give you different... Again, like we talked about before, it can change the role of the unit. This unit has now become, aside from just dealing a bunch of physical damage, now it actually has the capabilities to actually start dealing mental fatigue and damage like that.
Right, which was it's effectively going to make more models die in that unit.
Yes. So it's giving you more options to how you want to play them. Or again, you could stick either of those in a Berserker unit and just...
Make it super killy.
Yeah. It's like, alright, now my killy unit has gone turbo killy.
I like Turbo Killy. It's a good... Yeah. What else do we got here?
Turbo Killy, it's our punk rock band name.
Right.
Sure.
All right.
And then we have our non-commander versions of each of the commanders in there. You have Robb Stark coming in at 3 points, and Great John Umber also at 3 points. A little bit more expensive than the Lannister ones because you're getting some extra combat capabilities.
Okay, and these are the
non-commander
versions.
So note that if you buy Robb, you're also getting Grey Wind tagging along in there for free.
Yeah, so he's 3 points and a free unit.
Yeah, and a free direwolf.
Yeah.
Free direwolf will purchase.
Buy one, get one free.
But Robb here, you're going to stick him in a unit, and he's going to really up their mobility. They're going to get +1 speed, and they're going to be able to pivot before they march, which we haven't gotten into that, but basically that means that you've got 2 basic move actions. You've got maneuver, which allows you to reposition, move, and then reposition, and then march is just kind of haul across the battlefield.
Yeah.
He's making it so you never have to maneuver. You can kind of just march wherever you want. So he's really decking out
That is
some
really
speed.
cool.
If you put him in a Berserker, they can kind of just rocket across the battlefield 14 inches.
Woo!
Faster than a lot of cavalry.
Yeah, that's pretty scary.
But he also has the rapid assault ability, which is if they're activated by the maneuver section of the tactics board, they can make a free charge action instead of just a maneuver/retreat.
Wow,
so,
okay.
Jumping back to the tactics board right quick.
Yeah.
That maneuver section says a friendly unit may make a free maneuver or retreat action. Go figure. So he actually changes it so if you target them with that, they can make a charge, which is a move and an attack.
Wow.
So you'll have some effects that are actually going to modify and change what each of these spaces do.
Okay.
Let's move over here to Great John Umber. Go figure, he is going to be more Berserker tactics here.
What? Get out.
Let's look at his Onslaught ability down here, which says if they're targeted by the combat zone, make a free charge action, 7 attack action. I'm not going to bring the board back out, but the combat zone says...
Make a free attack.
Yeah. So now he allows them to make that extra little bit there.
Wow.
And his order ability here is basically when they're attacked, they get to make a free repulsory counterattack, but they suffer D3 wounds after doing so.
That's still good.
Yeah, and especially like if I'm sticking him in even Berserkers, again, I'm making them now 10 points. But
you've 10 points of killy.
You've attacked me,
turbo killy,
and potentially made me better.
Yeah.
Okay, well I'm going to attack you back.
Yeah.
And I'm going to damage myself. So guess what? I'm even better now.
Yeah. Nice.
So those are their 2 other non-commander versions.
Very
and now
cool.
let's look at the commander versions for House Stark. First off, we're going to start with Robb Stark, the Wolf Lord.
The Wolf Lord.
And his effect right here is not going to look as powerful as because we haven't explained it. But basically, an enemy unit in long range declares a charge. That enemy suffers disorderly charge. And that's actually important to bring up. In the game, you're getting 2 measuring sticks.
Zoom out real quick there, Jen. This one goes to 11.
Revolutionary device. It goes to 12. 12 is the end.
That's it.
Yes, it goes to 11, yes.
Yeah.
But if you flip that over,
Ta-da.
you're going to have 2 markers that show short and long range. Short range is within 6 inches, long range is 12. But just so you know, you don't have to spot check that. We've denoted that on your little tool right there.
Okay.
Okay. Usually it's used for range attacks, but some effects will say like targeting within short range, long range, and so forth.
I was going to ask, there's no ranged units in the starter box.
Not in the starter box, but we do have others. We've released the Lannister crossbowmen and the Stark bowmen as well.
So they are in the game. Just
yes.
Okay, very cool. All right, so short and long range. So if you're making a long range charge, so if it's over 6 inches, essentially.
Well, it says yes, if an enemy within long range is charging. So if they're within 12 inches of you, which is probably going to be the maximum they're going to be able to charge for most units.
Okay.
Then they're going to suffer disorderly charge, which we'll get to that later. But basically means they're going to suffer penalties. They're not going to suffer penalties. They're not going to gain a lot of the benefits they would be for charging.
Okay. We can go over that later, yeah, for sure.
And then Robb Stark here has a specific focus on maneuverability. So a lot of his cards are going to be like superior positioning, where if the enemy charges you, you get to actually reposition yourselves or potentially make them fail by moving out of the way. Nice. You have Tactical Regroup, which is going to give you a free retreat action and let you restore some guys as well. And then you have Hit and Run, which I don't need to define because it's Hit and Run. You make an attack.
You make an attack and bounce back, yeah.
So if you want to push the mobility aspect of the Starks, Robb is the one you want to play with.
Very cool.
Meanwhile, we have Great John Umber, which I'll hand you his attachment version over here, and just some of his cards. So Great John, this is you want to run that full Berserker style army. You want your guys to just deal damage, deal more damage. Oh look, I'm dying. I'm going to deal more damage. Great John's effect right here is Umber Rage. When the unit attacks, the enemy becomes panicked and vulnerable, which means they're going to suffer penalties of defense and their morale save when they make it. Trade-off, you're suffering damage for doing so.
But that's...
Trade-off.
Yeah, I was going to say. Berserkers are like, yeah, whatever.
And as like we talked about with Gregor Clegane, all of his tactics cards gain benefits for targeting his unit or a House Umber unit.
Okay.
So if you want to do an Umber theme army of a bunch of Berserkers, then if in the
Very
future we release
cool.
more Umber units, spoilers.
Wait, what?
Whoa.
You guys are planning to do even more stuff? What? All right.
So like one of his fan favorite cards is Last Stand. When one of your units would be destroyed, they get to make a reactionary attack before they're taken off and use their highest value attack die.
And if they're Umber or contains Greyjohn, the target also becomes vulnerable, which is pretty cool.
As they didn't expect those Berserkers to lash out the way they did.
Yeah.
Reckless Aggression. It's going to give you a your rolls of 6 are going to allow no defense save of any kind,
Ooh.
but your rolls of 1 are going to also kill one of your own guys.
Yeah, but that's not always the worst thing for these guys.
And then finally,
And I'm taking there's some ways to get some rerolls too, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So one of the most basic ones is when you charge. One of the basic benefits of charging is you get to reroll your attack dice.
And it's, do you pick them or do you have to reroll all of them?
You pick whichever ones you want to reroll.
Nice.
So theoretically, if I know that 6s cause no armor save, I could reroll everything that's not a 6. I mean, it's up to you.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the best play for you, but that's an option you have.
Fair enough. And then this last one is Berserker Tactics. So, if you destroy one rank, deal target D3 automatic hits. Just destroy 2 ranks, deal D3 wound.
So
you just bypass the hit.
Yeah, so in that one there, if you have a destroyed rank, you deal an additional D3 automatic hits. If you're down to your last rank, you deal D3 automatic wounds, which don't allow a defense save. It's just straight damage instead. And if it's a House Umber unit, you up that by 1. So that means if you have a 1 unit, one rank of Berserkers left, and you play that card, you're going to deal a D3 plus 1 automatic wounds before you're even rolling any
And you're rolling 10 dice.
Yes.
And you're,
Again, make things dead.
Make things dead. That's what the Umbers do.
But you're paying for it, because they're very expensive.
That is a pricey killy unit. Turbo killy, remember.
Yep. Turbo killy. But so that is all the cards. That's all the components here of the core box. Oh, one last thing to actually go over, I suppose. We have reference cards.
Yeah.
So you're getting 2 reference cards.
You get 2 of these bad boys
in the starter box, and this is actually a good time to bring this up. All of the game modes that we have, you can play multiplayer if you so choose. This is not strictly one-on-one.
Okay.
There's only one game mode, and that is a Storm of Swords, which is our siege mode. One person playing the defender, one person playing the attacker. That one's a little wonky if you want to play multiplayer. The other 4, though, are perfectly fine, though, to play with 3+ players, 4 players, team games, however you want. There are rules for those in the rulebook to function off of those. So if you wanted to do, this is our grand alliance here of 2 Lannister players and 2 Stark players playing against each other, you can do that.
Speaking of which, real quick, board size. Standard game, 40 points. What's
Standard game is played on a 4x4 table.
Okay.
If you were playing something obscenely large, feel free to move to a 6x4 table.
Or even an 8x8 or whatever.
Exactly, or 10x10 if you have that mansion. Or a fine dining table. Or a very long table. But your standard is 4x4.
Gotcha.
That's what all the scenarios are built around. That's what everything's recommended to do.
And these are the unit... This reference card just goes over pretty much everything you can do.
Between the unit cards...
So if I have these 2 cards...
That's all you need for any rules referencing, period.
I don't have to flip the rule book. I don't need to cross-reference Section C.
Everything you need to know is written right there or on the unit card.
I like it.
And so this here just goes over the 5 actions that are available to unit, which we can go over.
Yep.
Well, you can maneuver a unit, which is you can pivot on the spot. So let's just get Greywind out here because he's a little tiny.
Okay.
So pivot is that you can rotate your facing up to 360 degrees off your center.
Spin them all the way around if I want 180 or, whatever.
Yep. You move up to your speed and then you pivot again.
And the speed on Greywind was like 6, right?
6.
So then I would just use one of the measuring sticks, which I have over here. And when are we measuring? Are we just...
It's front to front.
Front to front?
Yep.
Okay. Jen, can we zoom out a little bit further real quick? I know. So, if I wanted to do the maneuverability, I would spin this around however I want, and then I would just do 1 to 6.
Yep.
Boom. Done.
And then you can pivot again.
And then I can pivot if I want to go.
Yep.
And pivot is just on the center point?
It's always on the center.
Okay. Cool. Next up, we have March, which is just...
You move twice your speed, and then you pivot.
That's why Robb's ability is important, because he can make you pivot first and then move double.
Usually the march action is going to require a little bit of a setup there because it's whatever direction you're facing, that's where you're moving.
Okay.
Although if you need to make a swift change in things, you can always take the maneuver area and attack the sport to get that free little move beforehand as well. So
a question for the maneuver and march abilities, what happens if I march into an enemy unit?
Okay, so one of the baseline rules is that you cannot end a move within an inch of an enemy unless it is a charge action. So you can't just saunter into combat there.
You can't
and
just
go,
march
guys.
up and accidentally go, oops, now we're in combat.
The only time you can contact enemy is via the charge action.
So across the board, if you want to get into a combat, charge. And speaking of charge...
But noting actually as well, you can move through friendly units if you have enough movement to clear them, but you can never end overlapping enemy's base.
Okay.
So just theoretically, you can be holding a bunch of berserkers behind, like, your swords here, and then have them just rampage through.
Yeah.
As your guys are kind of smart enough to go.
Let them go.
Clear some room.
So speaking of which, to the charge action, you've got pivot plus move speed plus D6.
Yes.
And then you can attack after the.
So charges are never a certain thing. When you declare a charge, you declare your target. You're going to pivot to face them, and you can only charge somebody you can see.
Yep.
You're going to move your speed plus a D6 directly toward that enemy. If you contact them, you then get to make a free attack action. If you don't contact them, though, you're still moving your distance, you're stopping short, and you're going to suffer a panic test because your guys are like, holy crap, we didn't get into combat.
Right.
This is bad.
We didn't make it. Okay.
Also, there's a rule called a disorderly charge, which happens if you roll a 1.
Whoops.
You're always going to move your baseline speed. So theoretically, if I have a movement of a movement of 5, and I'm within 5 inches of my enemy, I can't fail the charge.
You can't fail that one.
I'm still going to roll though, because a roll of 1 is going to always result in a disorderly charge.
Right. Which you mentioned earlier causes you to have negative effects or not get the benefits of a full charge.
And if you remember, Robb Stark had the ability to just cause a disorderly charge. When a unit charges.
Okay.
What that does is that usually when you charge, you're going to get to reroll your attack dice.
Yeah.
A disorderly charge says you don't get that benefit, so you don't get rerolls. But in addition to that, you cannot play tactics cards for the rest of that unit's activation.
Oh.
So if you had some effects that are like, when this unit attacks, I gain this super cool effect. They didn't really get that memo, so that tactic is no longer going to be available for them.
Whoops. And after the charge, we have the regular attack action, which it says shift plus attack. How does that work?
So if we have 2 units that are in combat.
Let's get 2 equal sized guys real quick.
When I contact you, I have the option to line up to 100% of the side that I've charged. Because to note, actually, I do gain benefits for hitting the side or the rear.
Right.
Let's say they're both in the front.
Say we're both in the front. You got to charge off. You're in range. Oh, you made it. Boom.
I hit you.
Okay.
I got the choice to line up to 100% or 50% to your base.
Okay.
So why would I line up to 50%? If I'm lined up 100%, we are locked in fully here, and no units can actually engage either of us from that same facing. They'd have to come around to the side of the rear. If I choose to lock you up to 50%, though, I've left space here for another one of my friendly units to potentially come in here and attack you there. Yes.
Yeah. And so that could also work the other way around, because if we're completely locked up like this, and say I wanted to charge you, how would that work? Now.
Right, so in this situation here, Graywin would not be able to... Well, let's pull him back just a little bit.
Back this way?
So let's say that he is definitely in the front arc of this unit.
Yeah.
He would not be able to charge there because this unit is fully locked up.
Okay.
The way you would actually have to... if you wanted him in there, the Starks would need to take an action, shift over to allow space.
To allow space. Okay, to get in there. Okay.
But on that same note, let's talk about actual flanks. So when I am attacking a unit, declaring a charge, I've got to see which of their arc face or line of sight arcs I'm in.
Okay.
Which is what these lines over here are relevant for.
Yeah.
So obviously, sorry,
man.
Hey.
He wanted to come play too. He's like, combat, I want in.
Obviously, these sworn swords are in the front arc.
Yeah, pretty clearly.
Guards.
Yeah.
But let's say it was like this. Okay. We're going to measure into whatever arc the majority of the unit is in. So here we see that they're in my flank arc. They're going to contact in the side. That's the one. That's the only one they've got the option of doing so in.
Okay. Can I do the half 100% here too? Oh wow. Okay.
And that's also, you see another benefit of having the arrows on the front here.
You can see, yeah.
They line up directly. You're going to gain benefits for attacking an enemy in the flank and the rear. They're going to suffer penalties. They're going to suffer -1 to their defense and -1 to their morale check. If you attack in the rear, it's a -2 and a -2.
Okay.
So
pretty mean.
Yep. Hitting the guards in the side is another way to take down that the armor they have.
Yeah. Okay.
If there's ever a straight 50-50 split, like for example, like we're directly going through here, then the attacker gets to choose which one they're going to contact. Okay. Yeah. But that should be a corner case thing, because like for example here, okay, the majority of the unit still in the front.
Pretty easy to spot. Okay. All right. So now that we've distracted with the quick charge stuff. So that was charge and attack, with talking about the shift part of the attack, and then retreat, disengage, speed plus 1d6, and then you can do a pivot. That's just sounds like a reverse charge.
It's basically a reverse charge. So Lannister Guards are in combat.
They're in combat.
They don't want to be in combat anymore. They're going to fall back their speed plus d6. So in this case, they've only managed to retreat back 5 because their base speed is 4. not the best thing for them. You move up to that distance, so they could pull back to here, and then they can change their facing however they want. So they wanted to turn completely around from the Starks, they could. Probably
not the best call, yeah.
But that's something they could do.
Okay.
And this is basically if you're in combat, something you don't want to be in combat with.
Okay, and then real quick, I'll just read these off. We've got conditions. We've got panicked, which we've talked about ways to do that before. You expend... These are tokens?
So let's actually talk about the conditions right quick and how they work.
Yeah.
We've got 3 different ones in the game. And when an effect places a condition token on a unit,
okay,
they're going to get the token.
Right.
The enemy actually chooses when that token is expended.
Ah.
So let's say I panic this unit of Sworn Swords.
You have panicked them.
Panic says that when the unit rolls a morale dice, I can expend that token to force them to reroll any of those dice I choose.
Let's say I rolled a 7. How does that work?
You did good, but you're panicked, so I'm going to expend this token and say reroll that 5. I want you to keep the
reroll the 5. Okay. Yep. Oh, so it's pick a die.
Exactly.
What if I had rolled that?
I want you to reroll both of those.
Okay, so, wow. So it's really powerful because you can make them reroll one die.
Conditions are exceedingly powerful.
Wow.
Invulnerable is when you roll defense, I can choose for you to reroll any of your defense dice.
Oh.
Weakened, take a guess what weakened is.
I'm rerolling any attack. Because I just looked at it, but yeah.
So that's how they function. Now, I will point out, there are some effects and abilities in the game that change what tokens do. For example, I don't remember any off the top of my head, but
they're in there.
They're there. I know, like, for example, Ramsay and Roose Bolton, they have a lot of interaction with panic tokens. If I remember correctly, Ramsay can actually expend a panic token from a unit to... I hate this because I remember.
Well, the good news is we don't have any of those guys here today, so we'll look it up later. We'll talk about it later.
It's just sad because Ramsay was like one of my favorite guys we were doing because he doesn't like the Boltons. But
Michael's my favorite. Yeah,
that was bad. Even I'm ashamed.
You need to take a time out from that one. But yeah, so there are effects that again, but those will all be represented on the unique abilities that say expend a token of a certain time, cause something nasty to happen.
Cool. So that's panicked, vulnerable, weakened, and then of course attack bonuses for charging bonus. You mentioned this already. Reroll any attack dice.
Yep.
And then flank. You already mentioned if you get them in the flank, it's -1 to their defense and -1 to their panic test, which is good.
Yep.
Rear charge -2 to both of those tests too.
Very simple modifiers, but very powerful.
I love the fact that you basically, if you want to run this unit, you need 2 things, like other than the unit obviously, but the rules wise, you've got. Boom, you're done.
Yep.
So, very simple. Okay, we've covered pretty much all the components at this point.
And actually, we've explained fully how to play the game.
Yeah,
well,
basically,
just off of that.
We should just start playing right now, is what you're saying. But let's go ahead and pause real quick, and we'll take a bunch of questions. Mars was yelling at me earlier.
Do we want to take a little break first and then go into questions?
Let's take questions for like a little bit. We'll see how long that goes, and then maybe take a break in about an hour-ish. We'll see. We'll take some questions first. If we have a ton, if we go over, we'll take a break. So. Okay. But yeah, who's got first?
Yeah.
All right.
You feeling okay? Do we need a drink, Michael?
No, I'm absolutely fine.
Okay. Cool.
All right. Our first question is from Stolzy92. Says, are they going to incorporate any future books in the main book series in designing the miniatures, or are they only sticking to what's been released so far?
Nothing new. No, I'm just kidding. We touched on this earlier. There are going to be some new stuff.
So everything here is based off the book series, 100% off of the series. If it appears in the books, it can appear in the game. As far as anything unreleased, well, if we get something cool in like the next book and everything that's released and it goes like, oh, by the way, there's this giant Godzilla monster that's not a dragon that lives in the ocean or something.
So when the meteor lands on King's Landing,
exactly,
the meteor's going to be in the game.
You got to fit it in there. Are you so happy now?
when the spacemen land,
yes,
and start invading Westeros,
yes,
then yes, I guess we can include those in there.
And they form the UN army.
Yeah, oh,
yeah,
good.
Okay,
that's great.
Point is, if it's in the books, that's all.
If it is in the books, it can appear in the game.
Cool.
So that should
could
cover.
Appear.
I'm sure that covers like 90% of the questions about asking when we're going to get dragons, when we're going to get Baratheons. All that. It's in the books. Be in the game.
There is a kind of caveat to one of those questions.
Uh-oh.
How do they go about balancing the game in regards to the fantastical elements versus the mundane, such as the direwolves versus the soldiers or dragons
Point
versus
cost.
everybody?
Boom.
Blah, blah, blah.
Point. Done. Next question. Point
nice.
cost.
Well, I will point out that like everyone loves to ask like, well, what's going to happen when a giant dragon appears? Like,
it's going to be really expensive.
If you've read the series, dragons are kind of OP. So,
a little bit.
I mean, you know, the Targaryens cleared the entire continent with 3 of them. So, now granted, I'm not going to get into the mechanics-wise and all things like that, or, you know, if they do or do not exist or will at any point. But let's just say, like...
It would be the size of a house cat, too, right? It would be like...
Oh, if you're talking the dragons, like, technically at the start of the setting and everything? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, after the start of the setting, they would be, like, small.
Yeah, they're just, all 3 of them are crawling across, like, you know, Daenerys and everything.
Yeah.
But everyone's, you know, they want to know, like, okay, are we going to have Daenerys riding a giant dragon? Like, if it appears in the books and it can appear here, but, you know, let's think about the consequences of that. You might have it where it is the entire army versus a dragon with a special scenario or something. Who knows? But the point being
that would be a fun scenario.
It is. Until you realize the fact that, like, all right, here's my 15 unit set.
Yeah.
That one got set on fire this turn. This one ran away because that guy got set on fire.
Yeah.
So, you know, I know there's a bunch of hypothetical things we can always talk about.
You basically just pull a flamethrower out and melt the other guy's army.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like
We're done here.
Every one of these dragon boxes came with a literal book of matches. Just set things on fire with.
Can of gas and a handful of matches. Burn your army. Okay,
Stolzy wants to know, did adjustments have to be made to the models to make manufacturing or modeling easier?
Oh, that's a neat question. So all these models were sculpted with the fact that they're going to be pre-assembled in mind. But that's also why they are not one-piece sculpts.
They're not one-piece sculpts.
Yes, these are not one-piece sculpts. These are hand-assembled at the factory, so they can actually be as complicated as we want them to be because they're assembled there and not passed on to the end user.
Yeah. But as in terms of sculpting that, you mentioned what type of materials were they working with there too?
So the baseline body of these things are PVC, and any of the the little Finley bits or like spikes or anything, those are ABS hard plastic. So you're never going to have any bending or anything like that of like halberds or whatnot, and droopy swords or whatnot. Those are going to be firm and rigid.
Cool. We don't like droopy swords. That's bad times.
Not at all bad times for everyone.
Even if you stick them with the pointy end, it's just not the same.
Yeah. It's hard to get the droopy in when it's pointy in when it's droopy.
Right. You gotta go.
I'm
for like
shaking my head at both of you.
All right, what?
I don't. Next question.
Bellarine wants to know: will there be painting tutorials so you could try to at least achieve such good-looking models? Nice.
It's a great question.
So that is a great question that I unfortunately don't know the answer to, but I am sure that we can bug some.
If it appeared in the series, it could appear on. No, I was kidding.
There's that one scene where it just kind of randomly detracted for 4 pages, where Arya was just painting miniatures. I mean, it was weird, but I mean,
yeah,
we were roll with it.
Yeah, no.
Manual dexterity exercises for swordplay. It's legit.
Hey, yeah.
Big Angry Owl wants to know, when are we expecting expansions and who are they going to be? Dothraki, Targaryen, what you got?
Those are spoilers, which I do not give.
Oh.
But I will say that we do have a very aggressive release timetable. You're going to see new content out almost in, just because you got the Kickstarter and you're getting all that stuff, cool. But when this stuff hits retail, one of the big pushes that we have is that miniature games live and die via retail support in the stores.
Yeah.
So one of the things we purposely held back in this Kickstarter is we didn't just throw out everything. We were very clear and very blunt on this. You're getting a Stark vs. Lannister starter set and some cool stuff. But this is by far not everything.
Yeah.
Because a lot of that's coming out retail because we want you to support your local stores because they're the ones that are giving you the player base and a place to actually play the game and everything and have a community.
Yeah.
He's got a big point.
So... But there is going to be new stuff released almost immediately. We'll organize play,
cool,
coming out immediately, new stuff, and a bunch of new surprises, which we actually showcase some of that stuff at Gen Con in our preview booth and everything, which I'm not going to get into. You guys can dig that up online. But
it's true.
The information is out there. You just got to look for it.
It's true. So this one's going to come out in store. When does this actually hit stores?
So our estimated hit stores, and that's something I can't answer. I know fulfillment. I don't know the answer. I really should say. Our Kickstarter fulfillment is April of next year.
Okay.
That's when we're getting into the backers, assuming everything goes on the timetable and goes according to plan, which looks like it is so far.
Yeah. I mean, from what I've seen so far. So they're still working out some final production stuff.
It's. People, you always see the front end of production and manufacturing. You never see the back end.
No,
when a company says something's going to be released, usually that thing's been done for a while. But we're working with a Kickstarter here. The amount of back end stuff and anything that can happen. That's a whole
other ball of wax.
That's a 48-hour talk on its own.
It's like a TED talk, and it's crazy. Okay, cool. So what next? Questions.
Ringo Dingo Doo wants to know, how do I get my FLGS involved, and what type of prize support, if any, will there be from CMON for competitive play?
So we actually do have organized play scheduled from day one. I don't have any specifics about that. But in the immediate, your store can actually, I don't know if it's still available, but during the Kickstarter, we actually did have a retail pledge level.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's still available, but you can find the details of that. Your individual store can contact our reps and everything and find out about that. But we did offer that.
Yeah.
And, well, that's mostly like that's unfortunately an end that I wasn't super involved in because that's sales and marketing.
You just designed it. You didn't really do the sales and marketing.
Right.
He just made the game.
Weirdly enough, this is not a one-man operation here. Doing everything. We have a full team of great people.
Right, right. I would suggest too, if you are wanting to get your FLGS involved in the Song of Ice and Fire here, you want to get them to get boxes of it. Just bug them about it. Like,
yes, they're
make it a thing. Be like, hey, when are you getting that game in? I'm really interested in picking up a copy. If you didn't back it on Kickstarter, maybe let them know if you're interested in pre-ordering it too. Like,
yep.
And because I don't know if you guys know this, but your retail stores aren't mind readers. If you let them know you're interested in stuff, though, they'll make a note of it. I used to work in those retail stores, so I know. So, yeah. Questions?
Ring-a-ding-a-doo has another one.
Yeah.
Talking of magic, is wildfire going to be in the game?
Wildfire is not technically magic.
Oh, it's science, man. So
Sciencey magic. Well, okay, that's getting into some specifics. I will say though that the Alchemist Guild is a thing that exists in King's Landing.
And again, if it exists in the books, there's a big possibility that it could at one point come.
And also played a big important role as well.
It was like a battle or something in the water.
Yeah, some water fight.
Flame water?
Actually, I'm going to take a small moment just from the questions to mention this as well. We have our 5 game modes, which we'll talk about later. But one of the cool aspects is that for those who like the historical buffs in our fictional setting, but whatever. Of those 5 game modes, one of the things that we have as well is that you will be able to actually recreate historical battles implementing those game modes. So, for example, if you wanted to do the Siege of River Run or the Battle of Whispering Woods, we will have rules to how to do those, or the Battle of Blackwater.
Ooh.
So you will have like specific rules and basically custom scenarios going like, hey, if you want to recreate this, here's what you do, here's the special rules, attached to that, and here's how you do it.
Awesome. I love special rule scenarios. What else you got? By the way, that's a great screen name, Ring-a-ding-a-doo.
Yeah, we'll answer all of his questions.
Yeah. Or hers.
Or hers, I'm sorry, that's right.
Alright, you've gotten yourself into something now.
Yes.
Big Angry Owl wants to know, how many players can play with a single pledge pending? Does that make sense?
Oh, a single pledge. Okay. Yeah. So, for pledging in the campaign, which, by the way, don't quote me on this, but I'm 90% sure, you can late pledge still, so you can still get in.
So go check out their Kickstarter page.
You heard it now. It's total complete fact and it's infallible.
I really hope that I didn't just make a world of pain for our customer support marketing.
Sorry, customer support guys. No, but go check out the Kickstarter page. I think we can drop a link in chat. But I was actually on there earlier today poking around. I think there is still a late pledge option.
I think it reopened up because we launched the Pledge Manager. I'm not 100% on that. And
We've got the late pledge link in chat.
That's
We've been popping that in.
That means you're going to get your stuff later than everyone, but you can still get in on the cool stuff in the Kickstarter.
So the question was, how many players were if you pledged?
So as part of the Kickstarter pledge, you also unlocked a bunch of extra units that everything. So one of the things, there was no Kickstarter exclusive content in the campaign. Everything that appeared was an alternate sculpt or an early access thing that you'll get later, because having exclusive units or things like that for a miniature game that's meant for competition, it doesn't work. So,
yeah. This is meant to be a tournament level competitive game, so you don't want, I bought Ramsay Bolton when he was on Kickstarter, you don't have access to him, I win now.
But you did get a cool alternate Ramsay Bolton sculpt, which won't be available anymore except for like outside organized player things. So you did get stuff like that. But you also got additional units that were unlocked.
Yeah.
Which included the mercenary units, which at the time being are all House Bolton, but that's not necessarily the only thing that's going to be there.
Right.
They were just ones that made it the majority. And there actually can be a full fleshed out army. So you have the Stark's Lancers, and you can actually play mercenaries as their own faction with their own tactics deck and things like that. In the core pledge, you're getting around 50 to 60 points of Starks and Lannisters.
Oh, wow.
Quite a lot if you were just going to deck out everything. Actually, it might be more than that, come to think of it. And as far as mercenaries go, you're getting a free unit of the Bolton Cavalry, a free unit of the Bastards Girls, which are Ramsay Bolton's personal hounds with their trainers that hunt guys down. You got those 2 units, which I know are around 16, 17 points. So not enough to play just them on their own.
Yeah.
But if you were to...
You can supplement pretty much.
The only thing, though, is that with the tactics card, so you're getting enough for 2 players, maybe 3 players.
If you stretched it pretty thin
with some small games.
Yeah.
Basically, if you got a full pledge, picked up a couple extra boxes of mercenary guys, you would have around 3 full factions.
Wow.
So that's what you're looking at.
But if if you just got the core set, the starter set here,
you're getting 2 large-size Lannister and Stark armies and a small-size mercenary force to go with those.
So at least 2 players for sure.
Yes. If you want to supplement that just to make it so you had enough for 3 players, I would recommend your core box pledge, and then pick up some additional mercenary units to flush out that mercenary force that you have.
Sounds like a plan to
And
me.
then you would be set.
Yeah. Cool. What's next?
Alright, Stoltzy92 wants to know, in a hypothetical sense,
Uh-oh.
let's say the game is extremely successful. Would CMON ever consider doing a sort of dream or relic type of run with the minis? As in characters from Westerosi history, such as Prince Rhaegar or Sir Arthur Dayne?
Can't talk about that.
It's in the books.
Hit a nerve.
I don't know. It's
yes,
one of those
just keep
things.
reiterating.
I will say, it's a super cool idea, isn't it?
That is a very cool idea.
Who wouldn't want to
Cool
see,
idea.
like, Aegon the Conqueror and then young Robert Baratheon before he got all pudgy, just
Yeah.
duking it out.
I know. I would. I think that's a cool
But
idea.
theoretically, who would win in a fight? The Mad King Aerys or Ned Stark? Like, okay, well, that's a bad example because,
Well,
But
Who
why
would
not?
win in a fight? The Mad King or Jaime? No, that's also bad.
Who would win, the Mad King Aerys or Craster from, the Wildlings?
That would be fun.
Just have the old guys just do.
I got a question.
What?
Wildlings?
You're not in the chat.
you've
Wildlings?
got to submit
Free
it to
folk.
chat.
I said free folk.
proper,
Free
proper
folk.
format,
Free folk.
please.
I gotta get into chat. I'll just walk over to the computer and type it.
That's fine, because then it's in chat.
Free folk, though. Yeah? Maybe? Okay. Next chat question.
If it appears in the books,
It's a big
it can be in the
We
game.
just need a shirt that says that,
Let's see,
or a
oh,
button.
I wanted to
you
make
know?
just buttons that
You need
just
a button.
tap. But
One
know
of
how
those
it
like
is.
Potter Stinks buttons that you just press it and then it's boom, there it is.
Wrong book, Jen. Not
Hey, let me have
That
my
wasn't in-
cross-platform
We,
thing,
we
okay?
said we said we can do a fan fiction generator. We didn't necessarily limit it to one.
Boom! It's
Hey.
in. It's
Hey.
in.
Cool. All right. Next
Alright,
question.
Actor 2 wants to know what the price point on the game is meant to be.
This box here is 150, 149.99 MSRP.
Yep.
Nice.
So 150 retail.
Yeah, for everything you're getting here, and a couple more stuff as well.
Yeah.
Ethan Newman 1 wants to know, can different factions team up? 2v2 games like the Starks and Lannisters versus Baratheon and Tyrell, and if so, how would that work?
That's some big assumptions on what
Wow.
factions are going to be there.
Wow.
But yes, there are multiplayer rules that talk about team games and talking about free-for-alls as well.
We talked about it a little bit. You mentioned it. There's 5 modes of play in the game. Only one of those is a little wonky if you want to do multiplayer, but
Yeah.
everything else.
And that one is specifically called out in the rule book. If you want to play multiplayer, probably avoid this one.
Yeah.
That's not to say you can't. It's just
It's
of
just a
all the
little
ones,
wonky.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the other four.
But theoretically,
scenarios-
if you wanted to make your scenario where Robb and Jaime decide to team up against Ned and Tywin, why not?
Yeah.
You could do that. In fact, that'd be a pretty cool fight just to see what happens.
That would be kind of fun.
But yeah, and I will say that the rules do point out if you're mixing factions like that, it's fine. But sometimes interactions can get a little
Weird.
Not necessarily weird from a rules perspective. Just you have different factions, different strengths and weaknesses. So what I'm saying is, that if you're in one of those groups that like, man, we really like to min-max this stuff, there's a potential problem that might happen.
Yeah.
But that's gonna be true of any
That's
situation
true.
like that.
And I mean, if you're playing a multiplayer game for fun, where you're gonna be like, "Hey, I'm gonna bring my Lannisters, you bring your Starks. We'll have
Yeah.
Lannister Stark versus Lannister Stark, or whatever."
Yeah. But everyone's gonna have that one group that goes like, man, if only I could take Tyrion in my my Stark force. This one combo here is gonna really like. Don't be that guy.
Don't be that guy.
Or if you're gonna be that guy, everyone needs to be that
Everybody
guy.
be that guy. I don't know. I'm with you.
Yeah.
But the key takeaway there is, yes, you can play wonky multiplayer games that have nothing to do with the historical fiction of A Song of Fire and Ice. Ice and Fire. Got him back.
Yes.
I need some caffeine. Anyway, next question.
I asked if you wanted to break, you said no.
I know.
That's all
We'll take a couple more questions.
Oh no! Now you're like, just a couple more questions.
I mean, we can go to an
it's
hour.
like he
I'm
said an
fine.
hour.
I'm fine with
You're
marathoning.
15 minutes in,
All right,
right?
let's keep going.
Yeah. Yeah, a whole chapel of
Sarhanel
people.
wants to know when will we be seeing more information about siege weapons?
Pressing point. Okay, so fun thing there. In the rule book, there are 4 types of bases. There are infantry bases, there are cavalry bases, there are solo bases, and then there are war machine bases, which we don't have any here because there weren't any here. And in our Gen Con display, we actually did have a thing that kind of maybe looked like a big catapult. Oh no, it could have been anything really.
Could have been. Could have been.
I will say that is another unit type that will exist down the line, and all of its rules will be on the card.
Yay.
You'll only need the unit actions reference card and the unit card of that hypothetical unit that may or may not show up.
Yep,
If it was in the books, it might be in the game.
that's true.
Next question.
Wise words.
All right. Big Angry Owl says, for competitive gaming, will you be able to use a custom mat or anything like that?
Custom mat.
Uh,
I'm assuming you mean from like a terrain perspective or something like that. Maybe, I don't know.
well, we're using a mat here.
Yeah,
It's pretty
Smooth
nice.
like velvet.
Yeah.
So
maybe
actually,
the
let's,
terrain.
I guess let's talk about that for the terrain. So, as part of a setup for basically each of the game modes, you're going to have your pool of terrain there, and you and your opponent are going to take turns deploying them and actually setting up the battlefield.
Okay.
And that's just the recommended way to set it up like there. If you're playing, like, if you have a full table that you set up, like, I've recreated Winterfell, by all means play with that. And
Sure,
for
yeah.
localized tournaments and things like that, it's going to fully depend on, like, your local gaming store and how they want to set it up.
Yeah.
You might have a tournament that goes, we're only going to use the sanctioned terrain here and whatnot, that's fine. But
Yeah.
we encourage people to like build your own stuff and play it like that as well.
Sure, yeah.
We'll have some guidelines for the official tournaments, but we're definitely not going to limit it and just go like you have to play with these specific pieces here.
Okay.
But because a lot of times the local store is going to have a tournament.
Yeah.
They're going to set up their own tables.
We're
And
gonna
like
have tables
that.
and terrain. And
We don't want to make it so like no, you can't use that.
Right.
That'd be dumb.
And basically, we were saying earlier too about the keyword system for, like, example, the bog. Like, this is just a basic bog. You could theoretically make an even bigger bog piece of terrain and play on that.
Oh, yeah.
Just fine.
And
It
you
would
can-
just have the keyword bog
Yeah.
and then whatever.
Well, you can give that whatever keywords you want. For example, like bogs by the rulebook, we suggested they have the rough and the hindering keyword.
Right.
Okay? But if you want to make it so like this one's full of piranhas or something, now it's got the dangerous keyword. It's up to you however you want to play it.
Okay,
You
yeah.
can make a forest that's full of a bunch of like Westerosi, dire bees.
The bees!
Yeah.
But so you're saying though, like, these are just generic templates that you can use on a 4x4. But if folks want to make their own terrain, there is a keyword system in the game.
That full
can
keyword
support it.
system can support all of that.
There you go.
So,
Do what you want to do.
yeah, play the game. You own it. But as far as I just
No.
want to say, like, for official capacity, which I believe that's what the question here is asking, there will be guidelines for people running tournaments. And if you're talking about things like if we have nationals or worlds, well, we'll deal with that when we get to that. But
Fair
there will
enough.
be guidelines. So
Yeah, you guys do run a couple of tournaments, I think, throughout the year, right? So
a few.
yeah. All right, next question.
Solstice wants to know, game design question. What was the biggest hurdle you didn't expect while going through that process?
Ooh.
This game has been in development for 2.5 years. Time really flies.
He's getting all nostalgic. He's waxing nostalgic.
And went through a lot of revisions. In fact, sometimes I'll actually go looking through my old files and whatnot, and I'm like, oh man, I completely forgot that even existed.
Can you share any of that stuff, or is that like?
Well, so it was like a couple times I was looking up like, okay, what is it, like designing a unit?
Yeah.
And go like, okay, what does this unit do? It's like, oh, that's really cool. It's like, wait, that sounds familiar. Did I do that at some point? And then I'll go like, okay, archive, like version, like
Yeah.
at one point these were like version 11, so it's like version like 7, like version 7.3. It's like, oh man. And then it's like a trip down nostalgia, like finding old toys in an attic or something. You're like,
Right.
oh man, I remember back when we didn't have movement trays in this game.
Yeah.
Man, I remember back when we were using special ancillary dice. I remember back when we were using D10s.
So this game has morphed quite a bit.
Well, so it's a matter of like, a lot of those are rapid fire when you're first making the game and everything.
Sure.
You try out different stuff to see what works and you refine past that. So you want to try out different stuff and, things change over time and, things like that. So it's not like, oh, now we're a year in and like, we're going to change everything. No, it's just the refinement and just getting to that
Was there any
process.
specific refinement that you can remember that was like, this was a big thing that we started, and by the time we got to now,
Yes,
we cut it
there
out
were-
completely?
There were two. Actually, it happened fairly recently.
Yeah.
these were not actually such a big deal as a lot of people would perceive them to be. So there was an effect called banding, which was 2 units of the same type. Some of them could band together and create like a big turbo unit.
Okay. Turbo killer.
Yeah, turbo killer.
Yep.
Let's go with the Sworn Swords.
Sure.
So basically, they would be up like this.
Yeah.
And they would have an effect but they basically function as a big super unit. So they would have 3 ranks of 8 guys.
Ooh.
And they would have a secondary, effect for doing so. That was a really cool thing that was in the game for a while because it created